Yeah,
Are we on?
Put that
Are we good?
phone on
I gotta
silent.
put my stopwatch. Yeah, this is serious.
Actually, let me put
This
my.
is
I love
serious
it.
business.
Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear.
That's so good because I can't hear unless I'm listening to you through this.
According
so
to your
good.
other podcast, I got my tetanus shot before I came in
That's
here.
so good.
Dude,
He
dude,
listens to them.
Joey went from 0 to 100 on 2 things:
He really does.
shoes. Am I
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And our podcast.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see your Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year.
I know, for real.
Because do you listen to other podcasts or is it just ours?
Okay, so I listened to this other one. It's called Forensic Tales.
Ooh, I hear it's good.
It's really good.
That sounds like what a
Yeah, I ain't into
middle-aged
those,
white
man.
girl would listen to.
Those are like,
walking.
That's
people,
what I feel like.
People get
Look,
getting killed.
with my Sipco and
Those are good though.
Have you ever had Sipco?
Yes. I mean, wait. No, I'm assuming
There
is
you go.
that. Wait, is that like the cream soda stuff, or whatever?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
that is Mountain
That's
Dew,
good.
peach, raspberry, strawberry, and coconut vanilla cream.
I love it.
Fun.
When you hit
There's a lot
record,
going
Sam,
on.
Oh, it's on. We're good.
we're already
It tastes-
recording.
It tastes like a beach.
But it tastes like it was meant to
love
be.
this.
It tastes like I'm sitting on the beach.
Does it?
If you like
Delicious.
pina colada, this
Somewhere on a beach.
Something like that.
Where's the Sipco around here?
Concord. That's what I'm like.
That's the one up there by the Concord.
Wow, golly, dude.
Dang, you went out to Concord.
Did you drive to Concord?
So okay, here's the thing.
You got the firefold.
Ain't there like a place like that in
that's up there. Yeah.
like off Providence Road somewhere they have like a similar place?
That's what somebody was telling me.
That's what I was thinking of. It's called Sips and Dips, right? And
Yeah.
that's,
I think
so.
okay.
I think
So it's
that's
a
right.
different company.
different
Sips and
company.
dips.
Oh, okay. I've only
Same
had Sips and
idea,
Dips.
though.
Same
right?
idea. Same idea. So
it is down the road.
me and Hilton went to a car show, and it was at the Speedway in Concord.
I love
and I
it.
said, Hilton, I'm going to take you by this place. I know you only drink coffee. This is sweet drinks.
Mhm.
So if you don't like it, seriously, don't drink it.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, if I don't like it, I promise I won't drink it. Since then, he's been back at least 6 times.
Oh my gosh, he's
Wow.
addicted.
Like he has
Wow.
signed up for their rewards membership club. He goes so
That's
much.
awesome.
Starbucks.
So, anyways, Hilton's texted me today. He said, "Can we go to Sipco?
Sipco.
Let's go, man."
That's
Wait,
so
so Hilton
funny.
with you?
Hilton, yeah,
That's
amazing.
good. Do you guys
I love
eat or just
No.
get
No, it's
the
just a
drink?
drink.
It's not a restaurant, right? It's just drinks.
And it's like a food
it's-
truck, but for Sipco.
It's a shipping container.
Yeah, it's basically what it is.
Oh, okay.
You know
so-
what we should do?
It's in
Wait,
the park.
a shipping container?
Yeah, it's in the
Yeah,
parking lot of
yeah,
Concord
yeah.
Mills.
It's in I
Cool.
can't. Why can't? What's the entrance that you got to go in to see
It's,
it?
it's the back entrance.
It's kind of
Mm.
sketch.
It's very
It's like
sketch.
meet me out back at Sipco.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
That does
Sipco.
sound pretty
Exactly.
sketchy, doesn't it?
You know what we should do? We should, in honor
Shipping
of,
container.
well, we missed our anniversary, but at some point, in honor of the podcast, like going back to our roots, we should do another episode where we just do a voice memo. And
In the
we,
car.
And we drive to Sipco. And
Yeah,
we
that'd
give
be
a
fun.
We give a review.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be
So
so.
or we could
fun.
rig it a little better this time and do a yeah, we could do it. That'd be nice.
I
That'd be
thought
nice.
it was great.
Special
I love
1
it.
year.
Would you
I
for,
like
like, for the people?
Has it been 1 year?
Yeah, because Charleston was year 1.
Really?
Was how close are you to finish? Are you almost caught
Okay,
up to us?
so here's the thing. I listened to.
So that means there's 12 episodes?
I've
Well, we
listened-
didn't start doing it
We
once a
didn't do it
month,
once a
did we?
month
Yeah.
for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've listened to the 5 most recent
Okay.
episodes.
Okay.
And then I've gone back and started from when you went from. Okay, so you had Charleston,
Uh-huh.
Right.
and then you did like 5 episodes that was like normal, like
Right.
devotional type,
Yes.
and then you went back to doing this again.
Right.
And
So
you're like,
I'm-
screw
I'm
the
like-
devotional stuff.
Exactly.
I'm doing
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
This was the thing. This was where we went. That's crazy.
Because it gets real crazy, man. Between all 3 of y'all,
That's wild.
it
and
does
this
get
guy
a little
right
wild.
here,
He's the fan fave.
I don't know, man.
He doesn't realize
What
that
do
he's
I
the
say?
fan
you
fave.
just keep it interesting.
I'll do
You're
it.
the fan fave.
It's like Justin and Steve agree, and you're like, nah, I'm not for that.
Yeah.
It's like, nah.
Well, deep down, I don't like either of them. Like as people. You know what I mean?
I understand.
So like it comes out every now and then, and when we
Can't
talk
hide
about
it.
our opinions and stuff. It's
My
just-
disdain for them is livid.
Yeah.
It just happens.
It's so large.
So I do feel like though, we do need at least a little bit of introductory, man, for you for our listener.
Yeah.
Because, like, who are you,
So
man?
if you don't
how,
know-
how long have we been recording?
I don't even know how long.
This,
Sam?
it's been happening.
Oh, okay.
Like 4 minutes and
So,
20 seconds, something like
so my name's Joey. I'm the production director here at First Baptist Indian Trail.
And a doggone good one at that, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
he
I
is
do
a
what I
great
can.
one.
I do what I can.
that. How long you been here for now?
10 years.
He's a legend.
That's
around these parts.
serious.
Isn't that
It's my
crazy?
10th anniversary this year.
Dude, let's go.
Joey!
Yeah.
I did not realize it was that
Isn't that
long.
crazy?
It's awesome.
That's wild.
I
me,
love it.
me and Alvin came at the same time. Same month.
Okay.
Really? What
Okay.
month? Like what is?
My first day was November 1st,
Okay.
2014.
So this
That's your
November
Right
birthday
before
is-
Christmas.
Dude.
My son's birthday.
Holy moly, dude.
Yeah.
What
I
was
love
it?
that.
Threw me
Right-
to the fire.
Right
Throw
before
him
Christmas.
in. Bring
when
him on
it should have
staff
all
right
been done
before
by
Christmas.
then.
It
Now,
was
so,
throw me to
that's
the
now,
fire.
now fill me in on this. This
What's
is not a because we have a ton of rigged preconceived questions and stuff. We have a ton of-
Right.
Was there a production guy before you, or was it
Nope.
all volunteer stuff? You were the first.
That was the first one.
Wow.
10 years
First
ago.
full time.
So I actually came here
2014.
to my official title when I came here was the sound engineer.
Okay.
Right, right.
And then the position evolved into something that was a little more than just sound engineer. So, about 5 years ago, they changed the title. I went from sound engineer, then 3 years later, I went to the technical director, and then 2 years after that, I went to the production director, and I've been that ever since.
Was that
Man.
was that you suggesting those titles? or
No.
Do you like production director best? Or, I know you.
It is.
Do you
it
care?
is what it-
Still doing the same thing, though, aren't you? Pretty much the same.
um,
Yeah, how
So
much has the
I'm-
job changed?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not keen on the word production. So
Call back to our last.
What, so
we
this-
did talk about that.
Well, this
Joey
is-
confronted
No,
me
no,
about
no.
it too
But
the
this
other
is
day
this
in
is
Hilton's
why
office.
he was going to be a surprise guest for
It was
y'all.
so good.
Because I wanted to pin Brad in a corner and
was
and
so
not
good.
tell him. And
Nobody puts
we've
baby in a
never.
corner.
This is a first. We've never revamped a question.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be good. We have a production guy
That's
who's
so funny.
amazing at what he does.
Yeah.
I was like, I would love to hear his opinion on church as a production.
Yeah, well, he basically, I mean, he jacked me up against the wall the other day in Hilton's office
did.
and said, if you ever speak the way that you spoke on that podcast about what me and my people do again,
I will Sipco you.
My
to-
yeah, dude, we'll take you out to a
I will
shipping
put you in a
container.
shipping container
Yeah.
and send you off.
We'll send
And
you.
That's what he told me.
And then we got a cup of coffee and everything.
As
And
it was
everything
good.
was
Fine.
good.
Oh, was that the day at the espresso when we all ran into each
Yes,
other?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
I
yeah.
didn't realize some conflict had happened. I didn't
No,
know
there was no conflict.
What?
So I'm not keen on the word production. So we've thrown around what we really call our department. We wanted to call it the media department, but we feel like we do a little more than just media. So we're throwing around the idea of it, the creative arts department,
I like that. That's
because you do a whole lot with with lighting and video and sound.
Right.
We do more creative stuff with it. So we're throwing around the idea of changing it to creative arts.
Did you? And we
I
could
like that.
call you. You could be our creative pastor.
Yes.
You could get a pastor title.
We'll
What
put
would
hands
that
on you,
be?
man. We'll put hands on you.
What, what would a creative pastor be?
He's the opposite
You.
of the non-creative pastor.
I love it. So okay. So after, I'll just throw that out. After our conversation last time,
Okay.
what was like your initial thought? Like, oh, this is where those guys are right. This is where they're wrong. Or like, what? Like
Right.
for you as the production director, like what role do you think?
So here's
Production has
how
to
it
play in
happened.
I really do.
I
wanna know what you think.
remember listening to your podcast because remember we all went to Charleston and y'all said that y'all did the podcast, and I remember listening to that, but I didn't know that it was still a thing.
Oh, you thought it was a one and done.
I thought it was a one and
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And
We
then
gotta do better branding, boys. We need the t-shirts.
and then somebody
Let's get
said
some t-shirts, dude.
hey, you got a shout out on the podcast last week. I was like, what are
They
you
referred to
talking
it as
about?
the podcast.
The podcast. I was like, what is the podcast? And they were
Marketing
like, oh,
genius.
you know,
Marketing genius.
yeah, exactly. They said, the one that Brad and Justin and Steve do. I said, no, wait. What episode is this? I got to go listen to it right now.
See there?
So,
It's basically, boys, it's like a sloppy wet kiss. It catches you by surprise.
It just catches you off guard, doesn't it?
but then I was hooked.
But I want another.
I love it.
Then I
So
was
you've
hooked.
listened to every episode.
Just about.
That's
God bless
amazing,
him.
dude.
Wow.
Just
That's
about.
Like I said, man, he needs some vitamins to replenish his brain
I
cells.
did a side job down in Rock Hill, and you know that's a 40-minute drive
Yeah.
every day. So for at least what
That's
is that?
funny.
40 plus 40,
That's
80.
wild.
An hour and 20 minutes.
Dang.
Sorry,
I
I math well.
I can't wait to
see I'm the math Spotify.
I'm out.
So I for a week straight, it was 120 minutes of y'all
Oof.
every day from Monday to Saturday.
Wow.
And my favorite was Joey texted me and he said, I feel like I'm getting to know you better.
It
And I said-
really
I said, Thanks,
was.
man.
You
Like
do.
all of
It
you.
really is.
Like Rocket Power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Rocco's
yeah,
Modern
yeah,
Life
Yeah.
and-
yeah.
Mhm.
What was yours? Okay,
I don't know. I can't
Anne of Green
remember.
Gables. What was it?
I can't remember. What was it? What are we talking
He
about?
said he dated him so hard.
I
Question.
dated it so
God,
much.
like-
What
Came out
was
in
your
the 40s,
favorite
what
TV
was that?
show
My
growing
favorite,
up?
no, Little House on the Prairie.
Little House on the Prairie. That's it. So anyway,
I love Paul, man. I cry right now just thinking about Paul.
but
I love Paul. Paul.
the heated episode that we're referring to
Yeah.
is what we think about production
Yes.
in
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
And My thoughts on this are, I'm not a huge production guy. I would keep it very minimalistic, but I have a lot of people on our team that are very creative in what they do with video and with lighting and with sound.
Yeah.
So that I feel like it's their God-given gift
Yeah.
for them to be creative. So who am I to restrict what God has given them to do?
Yeah.
So but on the same spectrum as a manager, I can say, okay, yeah, listen, maybe all those flashing lights are a little too much for church. So I don't mind them being creative, and I don't mind them doing what they do as long as it's not distracting to the people that are there to receive the word.
That's beautiful.
So
That's really good.
just
So how do you as the manager?
See, he
man?
spoke that like a pastor.
He kind of did.
I
bro.
say
Let's
we
push
put
for
hands on
creative
it.
pastor.
I'm not gonna
Put-
lie. he kinda
Creative
did.
pastor.
I had
Let's
to- I
push
had
for
to
that
tone it
new
down.
title.
I just say let's put hands on him and make him a pastor so we can get the phone one week. I'm just,
Hey, yeah, dude.
Okay,
We do
maybe
need
not.
someone to
Lighten
share the
the
load.
load, man.
Yes, please.
So what? So and so for
I'm just serious.
So for you, what is like? I don't know. And this is where I think it was hard the other time we were talking about it. Is like
Right.
it's kind of subjective at some points. But like for you, you said when that line is like it's distracting. How do you determine what that line is? And does that depend on?
I was thinking that same
Like,
question.
does that depend on? Oh, this is a slower song, or this is a faster song? Like,
Right.
what's all the? I know it kind of depends.
Anything to me, a distraction is anything that is going to draw the focus off of what the song is intended to focus on. So I don't really, we don't need to have strobing lights during How Great Thou Art, you know, or anything like that. It needs to be, and everything needs to be tastefully done.
Mm-hmm.
There's one time a year I give my team just freedom to do whatever, and that is Christmas, and
Yeah,
it is a production.
it's
All
fun.
above 'em.
Yes,
It's-
it's fun.
It's but we.
But
we
do
have
you
a
so
good
do you
time.
classify that different because that's a? I mean, I think what do we call it? It's Indian Trail Christmas. That's what we call it.
Indian Trail
But that's
Christmas.
different than like a Sunday morning worship.
Right.
So is that like the biggest difference for you?
Right. Well, I mean, Sundays are we do it during the week. So Sunday morning, what we do is we'll come in on Wednesday, and all the lighting and videos and stuff will be programmed on a Wednesday, and we don't really do a rehearsal for it ever. But Indian Trail Christmas is we'll start in May, and literally
Yeah,
it is from May until December.
Yeah,
It's
it's a production.
constant
Yeah,
rehearsals and lighting cues and
Changing and
videos
doing things,
and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. So what's your answer if like? Because I'm sure you've had this. I'm not asking you to name people, but like someone comes up to you afterwards and they're like, "Man, those lights were a distraction." What's your answer?
In the past, I've said, "I'm sorry, it was a distraction to you. We'll work in the future to make it as
spoken like a
not
pastor.
That's
as
a good answer, man.
Not-
it's just
Such a
simple.
pastor
not
It's
to be
so
as
good.
distractive."
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I mean,
Yeah, that's, I mean, because you want
you
to
know,
validate it.
everybody has different opinions.
That's I think that's the thing
Can't
that's so
please
hard.
everyone.
You
Yeah,
can't please
everyone
everybody.
like what that line of distraction is
right.
Yeah.
for you might not be it for me. You know what I mean? And
Well,
don't know,
I
it's
mean,
just-
that's
But you
why
want to
you're-
hear, and you want them to know you heard them,
Right.
and you actually appreciate them sharing with you, and then you do bake it into your next thing. Even if you're like, yeah, that's nothing, you're
Still conscious of it.
you're conscious
Yeah,
of it the
yeah,
next
that's
time
true.
you're planning something.
Yeah.
Now, one time I did have someone come up and say it was too much of a distraction. I said, "All right, just email me at steve.strickland@.
Attaboy.
FBC.com."
There you go.
Yeah.
And I answered it with, pray about it.
Hey man. I
No,
love
but
that.
it's hard because you'll get some people like on regular Sunday mornings, it's too loud.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And then you'll get another person in the same breath that said, "Man, today was perfect."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Heard it
it's one of
all.
those
Yeah.
fine lines
Yeah.
that you have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah. That's hard.
I love that.
There it is.
But my
That's so
but my
good.
team is great, man.
they are
I
great,
love
dude.
my
Your
team. Yeah.
team, oh, they're so fantastic.
And shout out if anybody wants free breakfast on Sundays.
They're
Media team's
fantastic.
Come
always-
volunteer.
We're always taking
If
servants.
you
from-
are listening to
feed you.
this, the value of that team is immeasurable.
It is.
It's,
man.
it's like
no,
the field of dreams. You know, if you
So
build it,
great.
they will come.
If you
They will.
feed them, they will
If
come.
you feed it, they will
They
Amen.
will come.
Amen.
Yeah, I think
You do have the best snack closet on the campus.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I have on occasion
second
ventured
that.
into the snack closet.
Come on up.
I have.
Come on
I
up.
feel like we're part of the media umbrella doing a podcast. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
Yeah,
I don't.
that's
I mean,
good.
This room is nice, guys.
It's legit,
It's
right?
Working
it
out.
really is.
You've
Working
done
out.
well.
So you gonna stick around for a few questions?
I'll
You know,
stick around for a
Yes!
few.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Let's
I'm
roll.
glad. This is a good one. This is a fun one, but this is good because I know Joey is a food
Foodie.
connoisseur.
He's a foodie.
What is the weirdest combination, or what is the weirdest food combination that you've ever tried, and did you like it? That's the question.
The weirdest food combination I've ever tried, and did I like it? Oh.
Joey's a
I
big
don't
steak
know,
guy.
I'm thinking.
Hey, I'm
Weird
drinking
food
a
combination.
cold brew coffee for the first time.
I know,
That's
you
right.
went hard on coffee.
I did. I did.
He flipped it real
Switch.
quick.
The cold brew is good.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. But that's not gonna be my answer. I have my answer, but it's really boring. So I'm gonna see if y'all have a better answer first.
Oh, I have a fantastic answer.
I'm sure you do. That's what.
Weirdest?
That's why I wanted to ask that question first. I was like, I knew that'd be going for you.
So you do the boring one. Do yours first. Go, Captain Boredom. Come on.
chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles.
I just
Okay, yeah.
remember. I remember the
because
first.
you're kind of a simple food guy.
I'm a very
anyway.
simple guy, and I remember the first time I had chicken and waffles, and I saw it on the menu. It was in Oregon, actually, which is kind of funny because I don't know. Is chicken and waffles a Southern thing?
It's
Maybe.
in Oregon.
And it was at a Southern style restaurant.
Okay.
So I had them in Oregon, and I remember thinking about it. I was like, that just seems like who was the guy that discovered that those
Chicken
two
and
things would
waffles.
taste glorious?
Amazing.
You know what I'm saying? And I loved it. I mean, it was phenomenal. But I know that's really boring. Like that's not.
That's right. It was good.
You know, it's
It's
okay.
good. It's a
Sorry.
real thing. I don't know.
I really don't know. I really don't have a. I don't venture out too much on my food, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was venturing out just on a cold brew with milk. Like so that's my venture level.
I mean, on cruises, because we cruise, remember? Flashback.
You're a cruise guy.
What we
Hey, wait a
the
second.
big ships.
He
Have you
is
heard
too.
that one? Big
He
ships,
is
little
too.
trips. Is that what it is?
He's a
Oh,
major
you're a
cruise
big
guy,
cruise
too.
guy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ah.
I love that. I didn't know that.
On cruises is where I learned to love escargot.
Yes.
I can eat me some escargot all day
Okay.
long. It's
All right.
delicious.
As long
And
as
frog
it's
legs.
drenched in butter.
Yes, and frog
Okay.
legs. I love me some frog legs, man.
Frog legs are good.
Frog legs.
I do
Yeah.
like frog legs.
That's not a combination, but that's a weird one.
No,
Ah,
but
that's
it's just food.
I mean, what did you put them together?
well, no,
frog
that's
legs are-
basically whatever day they're on. But just
probably
escargot
feel like-
with anything is
I feel like I
weird
had some
com-
like wild things at a Chinese buffet before.
Oh,
You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
Yeah.
You just get like a, wild assortment of things.
Throw it on
But I don't know
ice.
like exactly what it would be. But there's I mean, anytime you can get like freaking crawdads and
That's true.
chicken teriyaki on the same,
Same
plate,
plate.
that's pretty. It's
a little
pretty weird,
little
but it's
experience.
good though.
It's a little
And
experience.
That's-
pigs in a
good.
blanket.
You
Yeah,
basically,
right next to
you
right next to
basically
the blanket.
realize the people who
A
own
little
that,
sugar donut.
the people
little
who own
ball.
that Chinese restaurant are really marketing genius because they're like, only in America can we get away having a Chinese buffet with crawdads and all these.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of rednecks coming in here.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what's the weirdest food?
Okay, so when I was in college, there was this restaurant. I went to North Greenville.
Yeah.
So downtown
Tigerville.
Tigerville. Downtown Greenville, South Carolina, there was this restaurant. And they would have this burger. And it was a patty with mozzarella cheese, but the buns were donuts.
I've heard of this
Okay,
place.
yeah.
And it was delicious.
Is it really good?
that place?
Mm,
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Delicious.
Yes.
Was it like a glazed donut?
Oh, yeah.
There was a place in Charlotte doing Burger Week. There's Burger Week in Charlotte, by the way. Who that was one of their burgers. We all went as a family to get because they did it with a Krispy Kreme donut.
Yep.
Yes.
We got there and guess what they were out of?
Oh
Krispy
no.
Kreme donuts.
Hey,
Bummer.
so speaking of Krispy Kreme donuts, did you guys hear they are going to be sold at your local McDonald's by like 2025 or so?
Are they
That's 2025.
fresh though? Like there is.
See, they're not gonna
I
be
don't know.
making them in the back of McDonald's.
I don't know. It's got me. It's got me
It's
concerned
gonna be
about the
gas
state of
station
Krispy Kreme because I feel like if you're reaching out to McDonald's to sell your product, you're
struggling.
getting-
Well, isn't
you're getting
McDonald's like the
desperate.
number one fast food restaurant still?
So it's either like a really good thing that they've got their product into McDonald's,
Mhm. Yeah.
or it's like we desperately need help.
I would think
Can
that was
you
a
help?
good.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. It's like a gas station Krispy Kreme donut. and a
Think about
Krispy
this
Kreme
too.
Yeah,
Think about
it's
this.
different. It's different.
If Krispy Kreme would have stayed like North Carolina only, how
Did
wildly?
it start in North Carolina?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was North. Was it North Carolina? Or it was either
I have-
that
I
or
have no
Georgia.
clue.
I thought it was
Pretty
in,
sure it was North
I thought it
Carolina.
was in South Carolina.
Let's fact check that.
I thought it was actually in Spartanburg.
I thought it was
South Carolina.
Spartanburg, South
It's
Carolina.
okay. So either one. If they would have
Because they
just
still have
kept
the
it,
original.
That's
if
true.
you would have kept it like
When I was
one of
born in
those-
Springs.
Said the first store opened in Winston-Salem, North
Yeah, that
Carolina.
was
Boom.
North
Okay.
We were wrong.
So if you would have kept it there,
Ba-ba-ba.
how like
God.
wildly successful? Because it would have been like
Well-
a Brits Donuts down in Carolina Beach, where it's like,
Okay.
dude, come here. people are coming from other states because they hear about.
In other words, you
but
branched
now
out too
it's
much.
like
It's everywhere.
the Krispy Kreme because Krispy Kremes are shutting down, dude.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys are aware.
when we were in seminary in
a
Fort
crisis.
Worth, Texas.
It's a crisis,
It's
man.
a crisis. At Fort Worth, Texas, when we were there, I think it was 1997, 98, they opened up a Krispy Kreme in Arlington, Texas. And Tracy and I found about it. We're like,
Yeah.
we're going.
Yeah.
And as we're going to this Krispy Kreme, a bunch of Texas folks are like, it's just a donut. What's a big deal? But they're standing in line for it.
Yeah.
And I looked at this guy and I said, brother, you just wait. He goes, just a donut. Was there? I'm here because people are hyping it up and whatever. And he was before us.
Uh-huh.
And they handed him a free Krispy Kreme donut on that
Woo!
stick. He put it in his mouth. He looked back at me and went, oh my God.
He said, I get it.
This is
But
I
I'm
get
serious.
It, brother.
And that
Not
and
just a donut.
supposedly at that
Right.
time, that was the largest opening of a Krispy Kreme donut in the country. Was in Arlington, Texas. Dude, they were wrapped
Hey, everything
around the
is bigger in
building.
Texas.
It is.
Yeah.
And dude, it was delicious.
I love that,
He was
man.
like, this is amazing. Like, I'm saying, man.
I will say I'll go back on my answer. It was just a combination. When I saw them doing it, I was like, that looks weird, but I'm gonna trust them. 'cause
The
they're
chicken
doing
and
it.
waffles.
No, I'm going back on it. So not chicken and waffles.
Okay.
When we had John G's for that stuff, and they started making my barbecue taco.
Okay, yeah.
And they put Fritos in it.
It was good.
I was like, that.
Shout
seems-
out to
that, I
John
was like, that
G's,
seems
man.
interesting.
John G's
I was
is
like, that just. But I was like, I'm gonna trust them.
Shout out to
Dude, it
John
was
G's.
like the
If you
perfect
have
crunch.
not had
It
John
was-
G's,
You need to go
brisket,
stand in line.
You need to.
It's worth standing in line
That
for.
is that
It's
will.
really good.
We're actually not. What is that town it's in? You driving
It's in
to
Waysboro.
Wadesboro?
Yeah.
It's either in Waysboro or Peachland.
Yeah, but it's right on the left side,
good.
and it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
phenomenal. I mean,
All right, let's do a serious question here. Got to get Joey in for some serious ones.
Yes.
We need his wisdom.
pastoral wisdom.
Let's
Creative
do
pastor.
let's see this one.
Production pastor.
This is a good one. Did Eve go to hell or heaven?
Oh,
Oh wow.
oh my
Let's go
God!
hard right turn, Jim.
I mean, dude.
Why
Well,
would have
well,
Eve?
well,
Why
well-
would Eve have gone to hell?
I'm just asking the question, man.
Did Eve go to hell?
I'm gonna go.
Don't shoot the
never mind.
messenger.
I said, I'm
Why?
gonna go,
Because she
I'm gonna
sinned.
go Joel mode and say, I'm not anyone's judge. I don't know the answer to that question, to be honest. I think she went to heaven.
I don't know the answer to that one.
I think she went to
I would
heaven.
assume she went to heaven.
I'm gonna go with because God. I'm gonna go with 100,000% sure she went to heaven because of the fact that God sacrificed the animal, covered them, which is a symbolic picture of us being covered in the righteousness of Jesus.
Right.
So I'm gonna say she was covered by the righteousness of Christ, and she went to heaven.
And I would say because of that, she believed in Jesus. She
Yes.
believed in the sacrifice.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Just like Abraham, just like all, they believed in Jesus. They
Yeah.
knew the sacrifice was the symbol of the thing that would cover
Yes.
the sin they knew they did.
Yeah,
Yep. I think that's it.
I think it very well could be. Well, I think we don't know how Eve lived her life though after that. You know what I'm saying? We know
That's
that.
true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
go. She's there.
I think so too.
I
but
think
I
she's
don't.
there for sure.
I've never thought that. I can truly say this.
Yeah, that one threw me off, dude.
Just to be,
That one threw me off, bro.
You didn't let me finish the question.
Oh, is it still going?
No.
I
I'm
was gonna
saying,
say
as
there's
soon as
a-
I said, "Did Eve go to hell?" You're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Let's go fast.
Like, why would?
What do you
I don't
think,
know.
Joey? What do you think?
That is an interesting question.
That's
I've
what I'm
never-
saying.
I've
I've
never
never thought.
thought
I'm like,
about
yo, why would
before.
somebody
Welcome
think
to
it?
the podcast.
But that's a good question.
Did Eve go to
Yeah, are you
hell?
in? Yes. No.
I'm in. I'm
Okay,
right there
cool.
with
Are you
I would've-
convinced with
I
what
think
with what Steve and I said?
I don't. Yeah.
I mean,
I
could
mean,
be
I
And
guess
that's what I'm going to
Brad.
go with. I'm going to
Like,
go
you're
with
the
she
first
was
one,
there when she
but-
was covered.
But here's the thing: she didn't screw it up. Adam screwed
Yeah,
it up.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's probably the biggest misnomer is we blame. I say we as in like you hear people blame Eve a lot, whatever. It's like you read Romans 5
Mm.
and
Right.
Paul talks about Adam a lot more than Eve. I don't even know if Eve's mentioned in Romans
That's right.
5.
That's right.
And it's the sin of Adam. So
Yeah.
interesting. The reason I said is I kind of take pride in some segues every now and then because this is not
This is going to be a
planned.
good one.
No. I missed an opportunity. Because we had the question about food, and I had the perfect segue into a serious question, and I just read over it and I missed it. So,
But now you've teed up a better segue by doing that.
thanks, man.
go to that
I
one.
boast of my weaknesses. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. I just wonder if the next question
I
is
boast-
about hell.
I-
Is the next question
no,
about hell?
it's not. It's not about hell.
Is
about
it
food.
It is. It's about food. It's about
Is it
food. Yes, and I like this question.
Roasted food
They said the Baptist Church.
Bird food.
smells like sulfur.
The Baptist Church typically doesn't mention fasting as a part of our walk with God. And I've never been taught how to fast and pray. Jesus didn't say if you fast, rather he said when you fast.
Absolutely.
Which is true. So why do we not teach on how/why to fast and pray biblically? That's a good question.
So this is interesting because literally Saturday I'm sitting on my lawnmower listening to the podcast. And
He is a fan, ladies and gentlemen.
That's crazy.
literally it was the episode where y'all talked about fasting.
Okay.
Oh, had we talked about that?
Yes.
Yeah, we have, because basically you got on people who said, "I'm just fasting from my cell phone." You're like, "Well, that's not really fast."
Oh, I do remember this now. I didn't get on to people.
You didn't get on to people, but you basically
I-
said, "Good job," but that's not what he's talking about.
Yeah. So what did we say? Remind us what we said.
Hold on a second.
Or what do you say? I don't care what we said.
What
say?
do you say?
Okay, so here's my perspective on it. Come back to me.
Okay.
Let me formulate
Wow.
this a little
Love
bit.
it.
Totally
That's-
happy.
I thought that
Formulate
was
this
a
little
juke of like,
So-
No,
here's
no,
my
no,
perspective.
No,
Come back to
let me formulate this
That's
a
my
little
answer.
better.
Yeah.
I know.
my head.
So what I wanna approach it from, why don't we teach it?
Yeah.
I would say, like, one, like, I think we do. I think like, obviously, like, Baptist churches, the stereotype is that we're all, potlucks, covered dish, we eat a lot, right?
A lot of food.
And that's, granted, we got really hyped when we talked about Krispy Kreme just a moment ago.
We
So there's
did.
probably some truth to
Glory
that,
to God.
right? But I do think that I think we do talk about it. I would say, like, if you don't talk about it, it's probably because you're either, one, not preaching expositionally, because if you're working your way through, like, the Gospel of Matthew, you're going to talk about it because it comes up. If you're preaching through other books where the topic is mentioned, you have to talk about it. Maybe what they're saying is, like, why don't we do a series on fasting? You know what I'm saying? I don't know the answer to that question. But I would say, like, yeah, it's talked about. It's just probably not, like, it's not a prominent theme in our teaching and preaching.
I think that's if I was to have and you ready to pick your jaw up off the floor? Are you ready for this?
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
so ready.
If I was to poke a hole in what I believe so firmly in preaching through a book of the Bible, it's 4 questions like this, honestly. Because I know what you just said about, like, well, if you're preaching in Matthew, you're officially going to get to it, you know? Like we preached through Colossians on Wednesday night. Colossians doesn't really have a lot to say about fasting.
Right.
I mean, there was a moment in Colossians 2 I could have made that connection thinking about it from this. But there's really no, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
I
so,
do.
And so I do think it
And
proposes.
even if in Matthew, you're not going to talk about it a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I do think propose an interesting question, like to spread it out to other topics of spiritual disciplines or other stuff. It's like, oh no, I think it is good for us as a church to think through what are some methods and avenues and ways that we teach things that the Bible is so clearly focused on. I think that's why it's so important to have a plan in pastoring and a plan in leading, because you do need to plan to teach through stuff like this, because if you don't plan to, you might not stumble upon fasting all that much. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's clear. I don't know if that answers the question at all.
100%.
Until you come to a question about fasting, then you go find out about fasting.
I think that's true too. Is I would encourage the listener.
Would you say that fasting then is something God has given to the church and taught, that it's a thing that as Christians we can engage in? It was given to us as a tool to help us, not a tool to be enslaved to. In other words, I got to fast. That's like the Sabbath. Like, I got to keep the Sabbath, and Jesus is like, bro, the Sabbath was created for your benefit.
Right.
You weren't created for the Sabbath.
Yeah.
The Sabbath was created for you.
Mark 2,
So
I
is
think.
fasting like similar to that? Like, fasting was created for you. You weren't created to fast. You were fasting was created for you.
Right.
I don't know. I just want us just to,
You're about to say something.
That's what I was going to say. Fasting is created for something for you to do as a tool rather than something to be bonded to.
right. Okay.
So something to be enslaved by.
That's what I think.
So you there's not a set time to fast, just as long as you do fast at some point.
Yeah.
So
And I would even say this, because this is where I'm gonna take a little snide bent. I think if you lived your entire life and practiced this discipline and nobody knew about it, you'd probably be more biblical than if everybody knew you fasted.
exactly.
Absolutely.
What do you mean?
So in other words, if you get up and talk about how much you fast,
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of the things you're not supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I had this professor at Fruitland. Every Thursday he would fast,
Mm-hmm.
and like he would come and like he would be there at breakfast. I'd be like, "Man, let's go get you a plate," and he'd be like, "Nah," and I'm like, "Why?" And he would literally just say, It's just my day. And I'm like, and it's vague to where it's like, what do you mean it's my day? Like,
It's
do you
what
not
you do,
feel
right?
good? Like,
Right,
it's
right.
my day. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, he would just say it's my day. And then, like, finally, I found out through somebody else,
That's
like,
what he said.
like he fasts on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And so you had to
Um,
dig to find it.
yeah.
He didn't lead with that.
He's not showing. Well, that's what Jesus says. Don't
That's
let
right.
your faces be like sullen and stuff like that. Like, don't do that. Because a lot of people they want to let you know, she boy's been fasting. I'm closer to Jesus.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true. And
That's
the thing
right.
is, that's like, nah.
Yeah.
In
That's
saying
what
that, I
the-
think you lose some of
Well,
your
that's what
reward.
in saying the connection I was saying to Colossians 2 is that's what's happening in Colossae. You have people doing all these spiritual things,
Right.
and these Paul calls them in Galatians or 2 Corinthians 12. He calls them super apostles, right? Like you have these men who are saying,
It's
"Look
so
at what," which is
super.
really sarcastic and
That's so
hilarious that
funny.
Paul calls
Yeah.
people super apostles. Is basically what you call super Christians, right? Like, oh, they're
Yeah.
fasting,
Yeah.
they're getting these
Yeah.
these religious experiences from God. They're doing
Yeah.
all these amazing things. And yeah, Paul was kind of negating that, and it's Jesus plus nothing,
Yeah.
and that's what it is. But to answer the question a little bit, so
So tell me this, side thing. What's your thought on media fasts?
well, that's kind of what I got into. I think.
Yeah,
on the
that's
last
where it
one,
was.
Which I don't
You
mind.
did, you
I don't
did.
mind. I don't mind putting that take in the microwave and reheating it, bread. You know.
Wow.
I'm not doing that.
That was creative the way that
That
you.
was really
man.
creative.
Basically, what I do want to be cautious because like I know we have people on our staff that say you can fast social media. So I want to be cautious. Just be honest and say I just disagree with that. But that's okay. It's not like
There's nothing wrong with that
like
disagreement.
if you're listening to this and you go to a different church and you're like your church leads a media fast and you're like
Awesome.
I'm leaving. That's dumb.
That's-
Dumb. Don't do that.
The fast, the media fast is not your issue.
Yeah, I think fasting is very specifically food in the Bible. I think fasting is very specifically food because I think, and it's probably more nuanced than this, but y'all can correct me or add here is, I mean, truly we need food to survive.
That's
And
right.
truly. And so the abstinence of food, there's literally you begin to feel something, right? Like, oh my gosh, I need to eat. I need sustenance. I need all these things. And that leads us to a place of dependence and reliance on the Lord in a way that normally we don't get to experience, right? So I think that's the gift of fasting. I think where that breaks down with media or TV. I remember one time in middle school I fasted SportsCenter, which I know sounds stupid kind of. Like I watched SportsCenter all the time. And it was like it actually was a really healthy thing for me for a couple of weeks. So I think it's a good idea to take a break from that stuff. But the reality of it is, I mean, we've existed as human beings for thousands of years without smartphones. So you don't need social media to live. And so I think it's a good
Fasting
idea.
for something that's necessary
Yeah,
for
it's-
life.
Yes.
That's why I was curious because I had a professor in college, and we went over fasting in depth in one of our classes, and it was the whole media fast.
Was he for it?
Yeah.
Idea.
No,
Okay.
no, he was not for
Okay,
it.
gotcha. Cool.
This was 10 years ago when social media was
Sure.
was blowing up,
Yeah.
and everybody was doing the social media fast.
Yeah.
And he said, guys, I mean, that's great and all that you want to fast, but it has to be something that your body needs.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't need
That's
social
what you
media.
just said.
Yeah.
That's what you
Yeah,
just
that's a
said.
good word.
So,
That's a good word. Yeah.
That's why I was curious.
Because there's something in the body cueing you that you need it, which reminds you
Good.
to
Yeah.
desire something.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thought. So I was, I mean, just to wrap it up, I mean, hand up, like I look back on my last 6 years and I'm like, I've probably not taught on fasting
He's
a
gonna
ton.
do a series.
Like, so hand up, I probably haven't done that enough. But I would say, I would say let's be gracious. Like if you're sitting there listening to this, and I mean, I know most of our listeners go here, but maybe there's some sprinkling in somewhere else. And you're like, well, my pastor hasn't taught on fasting in 3 years. Let's be more gracious in that and not say that he's avoiding it. Maybe some guys really,
Just go,
some guys really are.
Just go listen to John Mark Comer on the internet.
Well, I think
That's
honestly,
like all he talks about.
that's all he
Really?
talks about.
Big fasting.
John Mark
guy.
Comer kind of like talk
Big
about a
fasting
rocket
guy.
ship, man. Like he kind of no one knew. I didn't know who he was, and all of a
Big,
sudden I feel like I see
he's,
him everywhere.
I think he's fine. I think he talks about fasting a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
That's what I was gonna say. Is there is a ton of resources out there from really good guys on
Yeah,
fasting,
yeah,
and so
it's available.
And if you need that, reach out to
YouTube,
us.
man.
But I would say give your pastor grace if they've not taught through that, and maybe just ask them why not. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if many guys are intentionally avoiding it. Does that make sense?
Right. It's almost like, are you asking the question because you think we're avoiding that subject?
And maybe some guys are.
Some
Maybe-
are,
Maybe
sure,
some
some are.
Yeah.
I really don't think that's in our situation. I really don't think that that's the case.
Right. I don't either
But
at all.
it's just something that's not preached on.
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
often.
But I think it is a good.
Like it'll come up in like a series on disciplines.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like you were saying.
Yeah, and I should. So we have talked about that in life groups, I guess. But it probably is something when it says when you fast. I mean, Jesus is assuming we're
part
going
of
to be
your
doing
life,
that.
yeah.
So we probably should be more disciplined in teaching people through that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with admitting that.
It's good.
Yeah. Good. You may do one
Thank
more.
you for the challenge.
Yeah, it is a good challenge. Good thing to think through. This is a good one. Then we'll go to one of yours, Brad. How?
And we went to Steve's too.
Oh,
guys.
Steve's got some too.
Come on.
Steve's
How many you
finally
got?
chipped in.
I don't know. I just had
I only
a person,
have two.
like I said, I had
I'm
a
gonna
person
ignore
that felt
Justin.
bad
You have
for me.
3. I asked one to Brad.
I'm ignoring Justin.
I asked one to Brad's. How are we
I'm gonna start
supposed?
sending some in.
All right, this
You
is
should.
kind of a heavy one. Okay. You
Oh,
say
is it
you
really?
should submit something.
Yeah.
You should, man. You're a faithful listener. Wow. How are we supposed to love and honor our parents through separation or divorce? That's a really
It's a tough one.
heavy, tough.
What was it? Probably you need to love them more than if they weren't. How does your parents love you when you're acting like an idiot? They have to love you more. So students, when your parents are acting like idiots or something's going on or it's hard, you need to ask the Lord to
That's
give you
good.
more love for them.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
As opposed to use it as an excuse to act like stupid idiots. Don't do that. Say, Lord, help me to love
Definitely.
them more.
So definitely that I would say I would touch on that for sure. Is like, okay, so believer student asking that question.
Right.
Don't go self-righteous.
No, that's right.
Because
Yeah.
they brought you into this world.
That's right.
Yes, they're making
And
mistakes.
you're
They're
still
making
desi-
bad decisions.
That's right. And
but-
you're still called to honor and obey
Yes,
in the Lord.
yes, yes. And they are still your parents,
That's right.
even if they're separated.
That's right.
That is still your mother. That is still your father.
That's right.
Um,
Start there and stay there.
And the
Yeah.
Bible's very clear about honoring your father and mother.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you don't have to act like it's okay when there's obvious sin even in your parents. And here's the thing,
Right.
guys. I think you guys might have said this. It's really hard when you realize your parents also sin and do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want Brooks to find that out.
Yeah, but they will. And so how do we prepare them to say, look, how do you love your parents?
Yeah.
But it's a thing. It's
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I think of I don't know, James 4. I think James 4. When James is listing off all these sins of people, and then he gets to kind of like, I've preached on this before, but he gets like this bold proclamation of like, you adulterous people, right? And then a couple of verses later, kind of what bridges the gap between adulterous people and a God who desires relationship with his people. Yeah, it's right there. Can you pull it
verse
up?
4, you
Okay,
adulterous people.
you look how fancy we are. And then it says, in verse 6, but he gives more grace. I would say, man, give your parents a ton of grace. And there has to be some humility in, we talked about divorce in the last episode, but there's got to be some humility in that. I told our students this the other night. I was like, your parents are at a place you haven't been yet. You haven't had to raise a kid yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You've not had to be married yet. And as us four men know, there's challenges that
Oh, my
come with
goodness.
that. There's challenges that come with that, man.
Man, Justin, read this whole, in context of this question.
Yeah, read it.
Verse, man, dude, I'm reading this and I'm going, dude, this is landing like all over it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, submit yourself therefore to God, resist the devil. Let's back up. But he gives more grace. You need more grace for your parents? God
Yeah.
gives it, ask
Yeah.
him for it.
Yeah.
Therefore it says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Stay humble.
Yeah.
Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and a student who is in the middle of a parent's separation, the devil is tempting them like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I can get away with all kinds of stuff right now
Yeah.
because my parents aren't acting right.
Yeah.
And he will flee from you. Draw near to God. Your parents are acting crazy. They're separated. You feel like the foundation, draw near to God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
near to God.
Good stuff.
And he will draw near to you.
Good stuff.
Cleanse
It
your
is.
hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Oh my goodness. Be wretched and mourn and weep. And here's okay, guys. Cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It sucks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's good, dude.
I mean, Steve kind of went preacher there.
I'm
I
sorry.
know.
That.
I like
That
it.
was good.
I like it.
Beautiful.
Very
I was-
pastoral. He already has pastor
It's
time.
like, come on, man. Keep
Come
going.
on.
Do
Yeah.
it.
but I mean, the whole
Yeah.
thing. And so I would say, let's
Yeah.
wash them in the word. This person who asked this question,
Yeah.
it's James chapter 4.
Yeah.
Just read the whole chapter and let God just say, listen to me.
Yeah.
Giving
Just
me some
listen to
wisdom.
good
Well, it's
word.
just
Listen
the
to
wisdom book of the New Testament. So,
Oh.
Yeah.
God,
And
give me
just
your wisdom. with
Dwell on it.
Yeah.
Dwell on it and say, Lord, okay. And ask the Lord to protect my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, we know students who use it as an excuse for their bad behavior.
For sure. Yeah.
Don't do that. If this student's asking this in genuine, you're going to be tempted. Don't do it. Don't do
Yeah.
it. Don't do
Yeah.
that.
Amen.
I can't add it. That was good.
It's really good.
That was good. That was good.
We're doing mine or Steve's?
Do
Steve's
yours.
got his phone ready.
Why don't
All
you-
right.
Okay.
Here it is. Did we ask this question last time? But I'm asking anyway. What do you think about Christian denominations, and what makes you decide to go Baptist?
I'm all for Christian domination.
You know, me and Hilton,
Denomination, not domination.
me and Hilton, shout out to Hilton. We talked about this on the way to SIPCO earlier.
That's funny.
So it was
What?
Good-
What?
good
Well,
thing.
let us
Well,
know-
then
let's
tell us
Come
what your
on.
thoughts are.
So I had asked him if he's always been Baptist, and he said, yeah, growing up with a Southern Baptist preacher,
Yeah.
that's all I've ever known.
Mhm.
And me being in the field that I'm in, I've had the opportunity to run
distinct
sound
privilege.
for the privilege of
Yeah.
running sound for Methodists and Church of Gods
Right.
and Presbyterians and
They sing too.
ARPs and
I'm just kidding.
exactly.
I'm just kidding.
A little bit. But
A little
anyways,
family humor
That
there.
was a joke. That was a
Little
joke.
inside family
Yeah,
humor.
it was a joke.
But and then we got on the topic of Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons.
It's not a denomination.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
slight
Exactly.
difference.
Slight difference.
You
But
know.
anyways, it's everybody has their own little niche.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Each and independent Baptist and Baptist are two completely different things.
Yeah,
So
I say if you like to fight, go Baptist. We Baptists can
Yeah.
fight, boy.
yeah. We
And
Throw some brawls down. Baptist brawl.
and
we will
eat.
fight.
And then after we fight, we eat. That's
we,
right.
We hug and we eat.
We hug and we eat.
We don't fast, but we eat.
We eat fast. We eat real fast.
Yeah, we do fast.
Uh,
Eat first, though.
Eat first.
Eat fast.
Eat first fast.
so what do you think, Brad? Christian denomination?
What do I
Denomination.
think about
What was,
Christian
it, what was the question?
denominations?
What was the question?
So I think it was.
I knew we have
it was-
answered
We've
it,
talked
but
about
What do you think about Christian denominations?
I love it. I mean, I'm here for it.
Okay.
I think that if if somebody said it like this, like will Presbyterians, Methodists, and Church of Gods and all that, will they be in heaven? Yeah, but they'll all be Baptists when they get there. So
There you go.
I've heard that.
well, no, like so for me, because it really is like I was born in Baptist church. Like my family were Baptists.
Likewise.
My dad ventured into Presbyterianism. My mom ventured, like she came from like her dad was Methodist, so it was like Methodist, Baptist, Presbyterian. If you're in the South, in North Carolina, this is what you're gonna get. Unless you go like certain places, there'll be like independent fundamentalist Baptists. But for me, like I went to the point where I didn't know what I was. Like I didn't know like fully where I landed. But like, dude, I am a Southern Baptist by conviction. Like, not because I grew up in it, but because like, dude, I've read the Baptist Faith and Message time and time again. I believe without reservation all of that. I'm not going to baptize my kids. I would love to, but I'm going to wait till they're believers.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So therefore, I'm not going to be a Presbyterian.
Right.
I'm not going to be a Methodist. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, for me, like I'm for it. I think that, just the other day, man, like, some of the stuff we get, I love it because it adds a spine where a spine needs to be added. Because we can't just say, well, can't we just all get along? Like, let's not, come on, guys. Like, we can't all just like, we can all get along, but like, dude, we're not all going to agree on everything. And therefore, we have different denominations. We have different camps. And that is 100% okay. And it's also okay to say, dude, you guys are wrong.
Right.
And I think we probably need some people to man up a
need to
little
do a
bit
little bit more
more
of that
and say, dude,
sometimes.
you're wrong
Mhm.
with what you think about this.
Right.
Therefore, we are not in support of what you guys do. Like Presbyterians. I think you guys are wrong for baptizing your infants. I think that is wrong. I think that's sinful. I
Okay.
think that's unbiblical.
Okay.
But you know what's so funny though? They would say the exact same thing
That's
to us. They would say that it's not just wrong. They would say, dude, it's sinful for you not to baptize your infants.
Right.
And we can agree to
And
disagree.
some would say it was
Right.
dangerous that you didn't baptize your kids.
Yeah, and so it's one of those like funny things, but it's also like, no, dude, like you need to have it. You need to have a statement of faith, and it needs to be more than just like the Apostles' Creed. It needs to be a little more in depth than that. And so, yeah, I think that I love it.
I agree with that.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think denominations are one of those things that I think, and it's easy for us to say this as like church people and all church kids. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for us to say this because we've been around it so much. But it's one of those things from the outside looking in. I feel like people look and they're like, well, like I just can't buy. I've heard this said. It's like I just can't buy into. Like, what's the point of all these denominations? Like there's so much division, all this stuff. And I'm like, I think if you stop and slow down and be like, no, like us and Presbyterians, like we agree on
gospel,
the core elements of the gospel, the same. Like we are preaching
brothers and sisters,
absolutely.
100%, yeah.
But in difference in things like you just said, pointed out, and I would even say this too. I would say, and maybe you could argue that this is in nature theological, but just like ecclesiological differences with like how we structure churches.
Define that word, ecclesiology.
I mean, so
the
belief of church, right? Like what we believe about church, and particularly how church should be structured, how church should function, all these different things. So, like the Methodist Church would be a good example. We're talking about Presbyterians, we're talking about Methodists. Like, correct me if I'm
beat them up for a little bit.
I'm doing that. I'm doing that. But or you could do even Assembly of God, like where their churches, or Methodist Church though. If y'all correct me if I'm wrong, if local Methodist church down the road, their pastor retires, whatever, then the greater Methodist congregation sends a pastor to that Methodist church.
They used to only stay at one place for 4 years.
Yes, right. And there was a rotation. So what we're talking about there is church autonomy, and then I don't think anyone's telling the local Methodist church, hey, you can't have your 4th of July cookout. No one's saying that. But there isn't church autonomy in certain things that are pretty major in the structures and governance that way.
Because in Methodist churches, they don't own their property. So the Methodist denomination owns their property.
Which is wild. Yeah. So that's where, like, me as a Southern Baptist, apart from the Baptist faith and message and stuff, I think church autonomy is a really big deal.
Because let me tell you where it went wrong with the Methodists. Our brothers and sisters in the Methodists, when they started turning on a lot of things like women pastors, affirming gay, and some churches, some Methodist churches that held to Scripture said, we're no longer a part of you. And the Methodist denomination said, well, guess what? You got to find another place to meet because that's our land.
Isn't that wild?
Which is crazy.
It's crazy to think about.
Yes, I think we. I don't know. Maybe this.
I like what you said with from the outside looking in.
I think people think it's division, and I'm like, no, it's not. That's what I say.
It's different.
Ready? It's not division. To me, it's clarification.
Ooh.
It's we believe in the same things, like brother and sister. I would say there's obviously denominations that I would say have strayed away. The Methodists that have really taken liberal theology and ran with it. That's a different conversation. But for a lot of our Presbyterian brothers and sisters, no, we believe in the same stuff.
100%.
But for clarity's sake, I'm not going to baptize Crosby right now.
Right.
And so it just makes...
Not unless something changes in my beliefs, which I don't foresee it.
I
don't foresee it.
Well, because I look at it like this. It's like God's word has spoken about so much about how we organize church and our beliefs.
Yes.
And so, sadly, a lot of the denominations we've talked about have swayed on that.
Yeah.
Basically saying it's all an interpretation thing.
Yeah.
On some clear teachings from God.
I like that.
Now, I would say this is one of those things I'd pray our Southern Baptist brothers and Southern Baptist members here would say, be praying that, because our convention of churches, because Southern Baptist is not a denomination.
Right. Good distinction.
It's a convention of churches that come together saying we agree the same things.
Yes.
And so in our convention now, there's a move towards liberaling up on some of these things but the thing is, that's how things move.
Yeah.
Unless you intentionally move them right and keep them, they're going to progress left.
Yeah.
It's a natural drift. Yeah.
That's a natural drift. That's right.
Yeah.
And so,
I agree. Yes, I don't think denominations are bad.
No.
Even I had a friend when I first took the job here 10 years ago. Had a friend ask me, okay, hey, where do you work? And I told him I work for a church. He said, what do you do? And I explained what I did. He said, okay, they pay people in your church? I was like, well, what do you mean? He said, well, our pastors aren't paid. They have their normal job. They just preach on Sundays. So
there you go.
Different structures,
even
dude.
that structure is completely.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Good question.
And
I think there's 4 men in this room who are grateful that our church
I'm so
pays
thankful.
their pastors.
I'm thankful I'm paid to have my quiet time.
Oh, you're grateful.
I'm just joking.
I love it. Hey, here's a fun one. I love how simple it is. You ready for how broad this is? Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Favorite event?
wow.
It's literally it. I don't know if they mean youth events. I don't know if they mean
Like a sporting event?
I have
Like,
no
what
idea.
are we talking about?
Nah, just taking a run with the boys.
Favorite event?
Favorite event?
I'm not pinning you to a NASCAR answer here, but your favorite's Chase Elliott, right?
He won.
He won. I'm
yesterday.
about to say he won yesterday. Congratulations.
He
Hey,
won yesterday.
Favorite event? Steve, you go first. You look like a big event guy.
yeah, not. The next one if it's ministry wise, the next one we're about to do would probably be my favorite.
Okay, are we breaking it down in minutes?
Are we doing
So, I don't
ministry
know.
events?
But
I
event
don't think so.
overall is I'm a real big any event that means I can go home and just hang out with my family. I'm a big fan.
Big
of.
laid back.
Big laid back event. I'm not a big blow up stuff and have a whoa. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I rock with that.
Me.
Mm-hmm. Favorite event?
Favorite event. Many directions we could go with this.
Mm.
I'm gonna
That's
do.
very vague.
It's very vague. 'Cause I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, ministry event.
This is my favorite.
I mean, I
You're
could
listening
give
to
you an
this answer right now, going,
I
I
could-
mean this,
I
that's
could
what I
give you
meant
an
to
answer.
say.
Sorry.
Family event. I could give you a family
Yeah.
dude.
personal event. I could give you just like I'm gonna do recency bias. This is very recency bias. I love the Masters, man.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like it's just someone in the like I love that it's one time a year.
Oh.
I don't know. It's like the doorway to spring.
And what's
I love
crazy
it.
is I'll
The
go
doorway to
the
spring.
doorway to spring.
I'm spitting.
What's
something,
crazy
man.
though is that's where when you said this, like in that vein, I would say the start of baseball season is always mine.
Opening
But
day.
I don't watch a lot of baseball. But I
Yeah.
love that it's
The
happening.
excitement,
Yeah.
the buzz.
Mm-hmm.
I like so I'll go sports. I like Wimbledon, man. I like Wimbledon more than the
Really?
Masters. Yeah.
More than the Masters.
2 weeks of
What
of
just happened? Are you serious?
tennis in an English garden, man.
What's
I
it like to be
freaking
wrong?
Love it.
What's
Oh,
it like?
it's okay.
Are you sure you're not Presbyterian? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I love
Wimbledon.
I love
I
Wimbledon.
love
bro.
it.
Absolutely
I can't get
love
into
it.
Wimbledon.
Watch it.
Joey, what
all
about you,
day.
bro?
Man, the Super Bowl for me is actually the weekend after the Super Bowl.
The week after
Okay.
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the Daytona 500.
There you go.
Ah.
Yeah.
So I love NASCAR, man, but I'm also with Steve. Anything where I can get on, anytime I can get on a boat and
Oh, that's it. This cruise, man.
not have a cell phone,
Yeah.
not have anybody to contact me, and can just relax.
Dude, that sounds good.
It's
That's-
great, man.
You guys might sell me on this.
Why don't we do
cruise
the
thing,
podcast
dude.
from a cruise ship?
Hey, let's.
I would,
Can we request
I'm
that?
all
Hey,
over
it is
Budget
budget
time.
time.
It is
Budget
budget.
Budget
Conference.
time.
We're gonna go on a cruise. What are you going on
We're
a
gonna
cruise?
cruise.
Oh, we're gonna record a podcast.
We're gonna record a podcast.
Yeah.
sometime,
We're gonna record a
man.
series of
Christian.
episodes.
They have
Yeah,
Christian.
Christian was.
They do.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Trey Ivy's
We're
probably
getting
playing
fed.
on one sometime. We could probably jump
Probably.
in.
Dude, he could probably give us a good deal.
So,
The
so
deal.
can I say something that might get me in trouble? I
No.
won't say
I
the name.
cannot.
Please
It's no
do.
one. It's no one on staff here.
Okay,
I
all right, come
I
on.
can attest. It's no one on staff. Here.
Mm,
I
hang
heard
on,
a guy
voice
saying.
memo this
I
real
heard a
quick.
guy saying one time. He was talking about he did.
Come
Here
on.
goes this. He did one of those Christian cruises,
Right.
man. And he did the Christian cruise, and it was like a week or two later, like went on like another vacation or whatever. And his whole reasoning was, and I don't even think the guy was preaching on the Christian cruise. I think he was just like there, whatever. And he was talking about how that really wasn't a vacation at all, the Christian cruise.
Oh,
And I'm like, I see what you're saying, but
but
that sounds really lame, dude. I was like, that sounds
Yeah.
really lame. I was like,
It's true.
I see what you're saying, but come on, bud. I was like, I don't know. It didn't. It was one of those things like
It's
it
like
might
the
be
Lord
true.
in eternity saying, "Enter your rest." But Lord, there's a bunch of Christians.
Yeah, it's
There's a bunch of family folks here.
yeah. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't ring well as I'm like,
Yeah, that's good.
bud. It was funny.
That's
It
good.
was.
I
Funny.
ran across they do a Pentecostal cruise too.
Woo!
Yeah.
I bet that gets
Anybody go
lit,
overboard on
as the
that?
kids.
like a few folks don't make it back.
I can neither confirm
Look
nor
out your
deny.
window.
That's
Someone's
so
flying off.
good.
The wind's taking ribbons out to
That's
sea.
so-
Like, it's just like flying everywhere.
I love my family who's Pentecostal. man.
Amen, dude. They believe, you know.
I
what we
believe.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I love them.
I love it. All right, do you have a serious question? You have a serious one?
I don't. So no, I don't have a serious one. We could shift it to a serious one though. Or do you want me to do one of my silly ones?
If you, I don't know.
We'll do a silly one. This could be kind of quick. It might
Okay.
take us a minute to think of the answer.
Never underestimate
If-
how long it takes us to answer.
I know. If you had a TV show about your own life, what would the title of the show be?
That's the kind of questions
Whoa.
we need. That's good questions.
Hmm.
That is a good question. I don't know the answer. Hopefully I could get some stuff from you guys.
Probably the title of the show would be "Why Are You Watching This?"
See, that's really
Because
good.
Because sometimes I
pretty
catch
good.
myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I catch myself, and I catch myself going, my life is. I love my life, but there is not much to it in general.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just in
I feel
general,
that.
because I mean, I just live it.
Fairly
And
routine.
Very routine.
Yeah.
I love quiet. I
Yeah.
love just doing
Yeah.
whatever.
Peaceful and quiet life.
Peaceful
as
and
the
quiet
apostle.
life.
What if the show was called Peaceful and Quiet?
Peaceful and quiet. It'd be like first scene. We're just sitting reading a book.
Well, this is the question. Is it like
Then
a
second scene, I make coffee.
I make coffee. Third scene, honey. What do you want to watch, honey? You find a movie.
No, you won't.
episode
No.
3? You take the remote.
You take the remote.
A good clarification would be: is this like a sitcom like Friends, or is this like a drama like Gilmore Girls? That's very different.
Oh.
I mean, it's just your life. So, what is your life more like? A sitcom or a drama?
Depends on
Depends what
depends
month.
on the season. But is this HBO? Is this
Well,
ABC
what are we
Family? I don't know.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. I think it's got to be something. I don't know. Something that this is hard. Wow,
I mean, in
It's really
reality,
hard.
none of the TV shows that are reality TV shows, that is not their life, people. That
Well, I don't
is
think it's a
not their
reality
life.
TV show.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
it's
I'm
what
saying.
would it be?
Yeah. Do you have one off the top of your
No,
head?
I can answer this.
Oh, answer. Go.
Come
Go.
on.
30 seconds. So most people don't know. I know you guys know, but most people don't know. We have a studio behind the worship center.
Mhm.
The studio behind the worship center is where all the video and everything happens on Sunday mornings.
Mhm.
So the TV show would be like The Office, but called The Studio.
Oh, that would be so
Nah.
fun.
That is your life.
So I mean, it literally is. We have such a good time.
The studio.
The studio.
I like
Yeah.
that. Do you know one? You know one yet?
I mean, I'll piggyback off of what Steve said. Like, why are you watching out? Mine would just be like, save for later, watch later.
Watch
Just put it there, and just keep it in that.
Never watch it.
Yeah, you don't really want to watch this.
Nothing
show.
to see.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing
Nothing to see
There
here, dude.
you
That's
go.
good.
Yes,
That'll
there
be
you go.
perfect for you.
Nothing.
Yes.
To see
Nothing
here.
to see here.
Be
No, I-
kind, rewind.
I took it in a different way. I would say if someone named a TV show about me, I would say like a hometown kid or something because I've never left here.
No,
You really
yeah.
have not.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
Like or when I
True.
say here, like legitimately here. Yeah. Never.
Justin's like Jesus, never left home.
That's not true. I remember when I remember when
Yeah.
this. You talking about how cool this room is? I remember when this room. You remember this? I remember when your office was right here.
Yes, that's right.
Like I remember meeting with you in your office right
Yes,
here.
right there.
And that was when this was just a hallway
Hallway.
with classrooms.
That's right.
That's before me.
Was the student center built when you got here?
Mhm, yeah.
'Cause what year was the student center?
I have no clue. I don't know.
I don't have any memories as a
This was
student
Steve's
here.
office, wasn't it?
I
Wasn't
don't
this
know.
your office?
Yeah, actually, no. My office was.
It was like
actually
right
over
around
there.
the bend. It was right around the
It was
curve.
it was right around the curve. Yeah, it was the curve.
Yeah,
the
it
curve
was right in the curve. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I don't
yeah,
know,
that's why.
something home related.
I
I
love
was
it.
gonna say homeward bound, but
Homeward Bound.
already
I like
home.
this.
Already home. That's it.
Already
Already home. That's the name of a
home.
TV show. Wow. Call someone right now.
Why are you watching?
I love it. Okay, here's a we'll go serious again.
Serious.
How do you stay the course? Let's do 2 friendship ones in a row. Let's go. How do you stay the course? This question makes me sad.
Uh-oh.
How do you stay the course when people are bullying you?
Oh, yeah, I better go first on this one because I have to allow myself to have
yourself.
mercy
No,
and
this is
compassion.
good. This is good. I like you guys.
For
taking this
probably
one.
not the reason this person thinks. So
Coffee
that's
time. It's good. What?
He does this, Joey.
I know.
Joey's a listener, you know. Joey, are you a listener or a
Hey,
YouTube
guys.
guy?
Hey guys, we're gonna pause, and we're back.
And we're back.
Well, that's what we used to do. Now we don't even pause it.
Now we just keep going.
keep it running.
Man.
I would encourage this person. I think I was really hoping someone would ask us a question. I know we could take this podcast wherever we go, but I think it was a great word in chapel last week. Man, what
Shout out, Pastor Stephen
voices?
Furtick.
What
Woo.
voices in life are you listening to?
I mean, he rocked.
And if you're sitting there asking this question, I know the young lady who asked this, and she's really, really sweet.
Mm.
If you feel like if you feel like you're surrounded by people, what was the question? What was it? How do you say the course when people are bullying you? Man, how do you make? And I don't know if this sounds overly simple, but maybe that's what she needs. No simple answer. Man, what voices are you listening to in life?
That's a good point.
Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who is the source of that bullying?
Yep.
And And man, is there intentional things that you can do? One, if it's legitimately really, really serious,
Right.
does an adult
That's
know?
correct. That's
Does your
correct.
teacher know? Do your parents know? If it's in our youth group, heaven forbid, do I know? Which, I mean, I don't know who specifically happened. So do I know? I think I don't know, we always joking like kids growing up in school, if you tell a teacher you're like a snitch, you know what I mean? But like, that's okay to snitch on that. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
okay. That's just being honest and whatever, let them know. So does a leader know? But if there's 20 lunch tables and you got a friend that maybe sits another one, but you keep going and sitting at that one, sit somewhere else tomorrow, right? Like tune those voices down. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but just like, what voices are you really listening to?
In other words,
in your
take
life?
responsibility for how you find yourself in the presence of that bully a lot.
Yeah. And I think that's a hard thing to say, and this is probably why it's easier to say this over podcast instead of like one-on-one person, which I think can get us in trouble. I will say that. I think that can get us in trouble sometimes. Because like I do think we do need to remember. I need to remember like a person is asking this question,
Right.
And it's a lot.
That's correct.
It's a lot easier to say this behind a microphone, but I think that's kind of be a good thing too. Where I think if we're not careful, we might get into it here. So I'm sorry, but I think if we're not careful, we're so quick. And I'm not saying she's playing the victim card. That is not what I'm saying. But we are so quick to possibly do that.
Right.
When I think there is something healthy to say, okay, am I making decisions that's surrounding myself with people like this?
Right.
Am I making decisions in what I do and what I participate? I don't know. I think there is some healthy introspection that needs to maybe happen. And maybe the answer to that is no. I mean, maybe it's just, my teacher assigned seats in this class and I'm sitting here, and maybe that really is it. Or maybe there is intentional steps you can do to listen to different voices in your life.
Because
does that make sense?
Yeah, because I would wonder this question, knowing that it's serious, and if you feel helpless, that's part of why you would use the word bully.
Sure.
So then if you feel helpless, step back, talk with the Lord about, Lord, how can I take responsibility of some things because I'm not helpless?
Sure.
And I would even go so a little far to say, let's define what bullying is. If someone looks at you meanly in the classroom over and over, that's just a person being mean.
Mm-hmm.
Is the person violent against you? Do the person push you all the time? Or then that's something what you said. Say, okay, that's somebody you need to tell a teacher to help you because they're not safe physically.
Yeah.
But even someone who may say something and joke about you, it's like, okay, it's not nice, but the word bully has a meaning. And so I bet you if I took a survey of everybody listening to this podcast about what a bully is, we would never find out what a bully is. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because everything from you told a joke or you laughed at me falling in the gym, you're bullying me. Okay, maybe we need to redefine what bully is. There's some parameters.
Yeah.
Because guys, some people are just mean. But that doesn't mean you're being bullied. That means you just met a mean person.
Mm.
Now, guys, here's the deal. If we don't learn how to categorize what a bully is and learn how to deal with mean people in our lives, you're never going to learn how to deal with people in your life.
Mm.
Because you will never get around people who are going to treat you mean sometimes. You're never going to get away from it. And so if we allow for, well, you said bully, so I got to protect you from mean people. So then that person's learning that I always need to be protected from mean people. I don't need to know how to engage a person that I don't agree with or how to, and here's the other one. And you've probably heard me say this. Jesus tells us to love our enemies, but a lot of times we want to not have enemies. But Jesus says, basically love your enemies, which means you're going to have people who are your enemies. But we create a culture where we want to protect people from having people that are their enemies.
Cooking right now, dude.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so to this person, I totally get it. It's uncomfortable. It's like, and here's the deal. It's like, and Christ tells us he's acquainted with our grief.
Yeah.
Mm.
Give thanks to the Lord and say, Lord, so wow. And here's the deal. Jesus was blameless.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not blameless.
Yeah.
He was blameless and people ganged up on him.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, whoa.
Well, I think that's an important distinction to make for who's asking this question. It's like, okay, are they bullying you because you're following Jesus?
Right.
Right? Because
That's a good point.
if you feel like persecution is coming because you're following Jesus, then
That's a good point.
Jesus said that was going to
That's
happen.
coming.
Right. I mean, let's just call it. And again, if it gets to
Right,
like
right.
legitimate
Yes.
violence, then tell someone.
Yes.
But if you're getting made fun of because you took a stand for whatever in
Yes.
Christ, I mean, Jesus kind of said that was coming. That's when the church comes along, and that's
And
why
that's-
if this
yes.
happened in the church, then we need to know so we
Yes.
can call a brother or sister out.
That's right.
And hold them accountable to it, which is beautiful. But so if it's coming from Jesus, and then I would say if it's not that, and maybe it's bullying over the way you look or whatever, then it's like, and man, and it's so easy to say this across the microphone, but maybe that's what they need. I don't know. That's when it comes into which voice you're listening to,
Mhm.
because the Bible says you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and this. I'm gonna go.
This voice.
This ignorant person
That's right.
is saying that you're not that. And I would also say this too. Most of the time, I've found the biggest jerks are often the most insecure.
That's exactly
And
right.
their bullying,
Preach.
it makes them look big and bad, but it's coming out of a place of deep insecurity
Yeah.
and deep hurt and lack. Most of the time, they're trying to prove something to someone. And I think if we have that in mind, it's a little easier to love people that are.
Were you part of the? You might have been graduated by that time, and I wasn't there. But I know at MCA there was a chapel that was on bullying and people being mean to each other one time.
I sat there a lot of chapels.
I know, but this one was, and it was interesting because
If I was there, it did not stand.
I've always
But
been
what
here.
was interesting was because Miss Micah, Dr. Edwards said there was something that happened in chapel that she had never realized. She said, in this room, if you are guilty of being mean on purpose to somebody over and over again, this is, after what we've just experienced, this is the safest place to be because we're ready to forgive.
Yeah.
And so the question for this girl or this person is, when you talk with the Lord, say, Lord, let me be a safe place for when this person comes and realizes they're wrong.
Mhm.
I've already forgiven them and I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
And because she said it, because she said in the room there was if you've been a bully, if you've been bullied, it was a recognition. And the guy said, this, because of what God's doing in this room, if you've been that person, I want you to know, because what you said, bullies don't feel safe. That's why they lash out sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's a safe place to be forgiven and move on.
Yeah. That's good stuff. That's what I say too. I mean, I think this podcast is great for stuff like this, where someone has a serious question and can ask it. That's amazing. But like, man, like for something like this, because it's probably a very nuanced,
That's right.
a nuanced situation. Man, don't be afraid to come. Are
Are
you putting
you getting this from video, Sam?
Are you putting eye drops in right now?
This
This is why people should watch YouTube.
is why
I've never done that.
What in the world?
This is why they love.
But
God.
is don't be
You do the
afraid.
Flonase thing a lot, right?
You do
I
Flonase?
thought you were a big
Yeah.
Look
Flonase.
at you. Don't be afraid. Like it's great you ask this generic question, but if you're like, man, I really think mine is a serious thing, then come
Then
talk.
come
to someone.
talk.
Like
Yeah,
talk
for real.
to a pastor.
And
talk to a
here's the
teacher,
thing,
talk to
which
someone.
means you need adults in your life
Yes.
that you can. Students, stop. If you're a Christian student and you don't have godly adults that you go to and you trust because you obey Scripture, you only have students that you go to, then you need to say, Lord, I'm sorry, I haven't trusted adults in my life. Let me
Yeah.
go trust adults.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Amen.
I know we talked a lot, John.
What do you think, Joey? I'm sorry.
I mean, I was going to say, you literally said what I was going to say. You need to have a group of friends, group of adults that you can confide in.
Yeah.
Whatever you're going through, you don't need to go through it by yourself.
And here's the thing. And if you trust those adults, this is where I might make this worse. If the adult that
Should
you
we cut his
trust
mic-
and
cut
you
his mic,
love
Sam?
says, okay, I need you to hear something. This might hurt your feelings, but that's not bullying. Let me help you know how to deal with a difficult person.
And
Trust them
the thing is, and it never stops. I deal with difficult people
all the time.
Yeah.
So being able to distinguish between a
Yeah.
bully and just a person that is either mean or difficult to
That's
get
right.
along with,
Yeah.
it's
That's
a big
right.
distinction.
Yeah.
But hey, there's people finding you, pushing on you, and then threatening you that you can't tell anybody. Yeah, that person
That's
needs to
bullying,
that
and you-
person needs
that's
to be
bullying.
taken
Yeah.
away.
So the
for a
fun
while.
question now, on the count of three, we're gonna say the name of the person who's the most difficult that we have to deal with in our ministry. You guys ready?
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I'm
One,
so ready.
2, 3.
Brad.
Dang it. I was gonna say myself too. I was gonna say me.
I could have gotten really spiritual and said myself. Honestly,
No, it would have been hilarious if we all just said our answers.
It's a guy named Sam.
Good job, Sam. You're doing great.
He may or may not be in the room.
That's right.
Yeah. So if you feel like after hearing that, if you feel like you're like, nah, I'm legitimately being bullied, then talk to us. But at
Absolutely.
the same time, get
For sure.
wisdom and
For
advice from
sure.
leaders. I love it.
Amen.
You are not stuck.
Yeah.
You are never stuck.
Hey,
Yeah. Some guy preached on a mindset. I'm not stuck unless I stop. I'll tell you his name if you want me to.
know
What
who
does
it is.
God say about? We've already answered this before, but it is good to re-answer stuff because we have new listeners or people that, unlike Joey, don't want to go back and listen to hours of
Wow.
podcast.
I'm not gonna. If we've had the question before, I'm not answering.
What does God say about alcohol and tattoos, Brad?
Go back
We had
and
a
listen
whole
to
episode
episode
on this.
3.
That's what we did. Yeah, didn't we have a
episode
title?
2.
Didn't we have an episode title?
I'm
tattoos?
not gonna answer. I'm really not. We've answered it.
But
I'm not gonna be a jerk about it, but I'm not gonna answer the
Well, I
question.
mean, we could just very easily tell them to go back and listen to
Yeah,
it.
dude, I'm not gonna talk about it again. We've talked about it. I mean, what do you want from me,
we
bro?
have
Like,
different-
what do you want? Like, do I got it?
Well, maybe
Have
you're
you
better to
reconsidered?
like a new.
No,
Maybe your thoughts have changed.
no, it's not my thoughts.
Do
It's
you-
what does God say?
Oh my gosh!
That's what the
do you
book
remember
says.
what you said last time?
No.
Yeah, you're not gonna lure me into saying it. I'm standing firm. I'm not saying.
Hey, I'm going back and looking. Hang on.
You looking to see what he said?
Oh,
No,
dude,
you
it's
should go look
August 31st.
Are you serious?
We did Hey, this is hilarious.
See?
We did Denominations, Saucy Language. Love that title.
We did do it.
And Tattoos with Justin, Brad, and Steve.
And I think we've done alcohol like 14 times.
But
Yeah.
clearly, the people were asking.
It was because the people aren't listening.
The people-
Go back and listen.
The people.
People are going to be like, "Wow, Brad, that was my favorite," and now he's not.
I mean, are you really anyone's favorite?
The people, no, those who might have said that.
We should set up a poll.
You just see who's the most
That's what we
That's
should
funny.
do.
loved character on the podcast.
Who's the most loved voice in the podcast? Justin, Brad, Joey. Who's your most loved voice?
That's funny.
Put him on the
I
spot.
plead the fifth.
That's true.
That's
I
a
will
good
say
answer,
Brad's
Fib.
got a smooth voice when he gets to that
He's a
spot.
smooth
Just-
talker.
I try to mimic sometimes.
Yeah. So
Tattoos and
I feel like we got.
alcohol.
Well, I mean, I feel like are we really doing our job? But we don't answer the question. We got to answer the question.
What do we
answered the
think?
question.
I think don't
Let's at least answer briefly. At least answer briefly.
Paraphrase.
He's lure me in.
Paraphrase.
Are you
Lure
going to
me
hell?
Do you have tattoos? Do you have tattoos?
Yes.
You do. How many do you have?
Enough.
Sinner.
Enough. I have my life force tattooed on me.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait. So it was enough one. You have
Just
one.
one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I like
Is
that.
it a
What's your
tramp
life?
stamp?
What's your life?
That's so
It is. It says Brad.
right there, right there above the hind cheek.
We'll talk about it,
Can we-
listener.
how about-
I'm sorry for coming at
Can we,
you so
do we have to
strongly.
edit that out?
It's a little tramp stamp.
I apologize. This can be fun to talk about again, I guess.
Hey, if you don't, if you
I
gloriously
can't
have tattoos, you laughed at that joke too. Just
Yeah,
saying.
come
Wow,
on.
that's
now.
amazing.
What's your life first? What's your life first?
You're not going to believe this.
Jesus
Okay.
wept. What?
He shall cover me with his feathers, and under his wings.
Psalm 91. Let's
Oh,
go.
Wow.
That's,
love that,
that's
man.
the
That's the
yeah,
story. Psalm 91.
dude, that's
I'm
good.
going to get a tattoo right now.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Psalm 91.
I'm
Let's go.
not doing it.
Yeah, I think tattoos are cool. I think they're cool. I think my only caution to tattoos is, and it's not even a caution. I think this is a room for disagreement amongst brothers. I would say, I think it's a little. I would caution a student that just says, "I want a tattoo just to get one." I'm like,
Why?
why? Yeah, I do. I would
agree
kind of
with
push back a little bit on that. And then I know,
or let them have that regret. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Hey, dude. I mean,
learn from
it's
it.
their
baby.
life, Justin.
Learn from it, man.
It's their life.
And I think there's room for obviously like hoping all
Let them live in it because they got to live with it.
I won't name them because you have a family member who has like a Star Wars tattoo.
I have a number of.
That's a
tattoos
but
on my
then
face.
it's just like I love Star Wars. I'm getting it right.
But the thing is that yeah, Vassar.
and I'm saying
Yes.
I'm okay with that. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
because
saying.
and I'm okay with it because that was the thing. Because with my boys, their desire was to honor us with the decision, even after they could whatever legally get one, whether my parents care. That never crossed their mind.
Yeah.
It was. I really believe that if we'd have told either one of them no,
Mhm.
they'd have said, okay.
Yeah.
But that was, it
Yeah.
was never a, I'm going to do it now that I'm free
Mhm.
mentality. And I'm like, free from what? A loving family that wants to protect your, oh yeah, you're free from that. Have fun walking that street. Whoa,
Yeah.
crushed. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm free.
Yeah.
Do what I want now.
I can do what I want now. Keep walking in that street, bro.
Steve's such a good dad.
Yeah.
Loves
But
that, dude.
But that's what it was.
Yeah.
But I would also say on the other side, for your decisions,
Mhm.
own the responsibility. For instance, if you go get tatted up to the glory of God, and there are certain people who say, "I don't think I want to hang out with you." What? Well, I don't want to hang out with a person for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
with
don't
tattoos all
get a
over them.
face tat. You know what I mean?
Because I'm saying, and then all of a sudden you go, "What? You don't love me because of my tattoos?"
Good segue.
Have
to
the
your
courage to
question.
say, "Yes, I don't like you because of all your tattoos."
Yeah.
And that's your choice that you got. But I think it's wisdom to go, you're going to have it forever.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
will form an opinion about you.
Yeah.
Understand it.
Yeah.
You just have to understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. Well,
Uh-huh.
the only thing also in alcohol, because we have talked about that before,
Yeah.
so you can go back and listen to it. I think I'm going to answer this as if a student asked it, which I think a student did ask it. My biggest question when students ask about alcohol is I'm like, why are you asking?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it is because what my fear is a lot of times as a student pastor is students feel like, oh, there's something in alcohol that I'm currently not experiencing right now and that I'm missing. And if that's your question on, oh, I just like what can I do this? Can like and all that stuff. I think we need to get to the heart of why that question is being asked. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Why do you feel like you need it?
Yeah. Why do you feel like what do you feel like you're missing out on? And I mean, I
The forbidden fruit. Wait,
yeah.
did he say?
And that's because of a 17-year-old's like can I drink alcohol? Why can't I? And I'm like, man, what's the heart of that? Do you feel like you're missing out on some kind of joy? Do you feel like you're missing out on some kind of satisfaction in life? And let's kind of get to the root of it there instead of just. I know this is such a politician answer, but I think that's a really good.
Yeah.
We've already shared our thoughts on it in other episodes. But that's what I would just say.
So Brad says, we already said.
Yeah. What's the heart?
What's your heart behind it?
Amen.
Guard your heart.
All right, Brad, give us a fun one.
Yeah, come on.
No, I'm not answering. I'm not asking your question. I was gonna do that, but
Ask my question.
no, I'm
You
not.
asked him
You
a
sent a
question.
question to Brad to ask.
We had the immature young adults thing, with
okay.
the question box,
Yeah.
and
he had a Post Malone
Christian
instrumental.
account.
I did not.
A young adult supposed to be, edifying and building up.
Yes.
Has a Post Malone song playing over the story, and I have a problem with that, Sam.
Post
Tell
Malone.
us your problem with it.
Who's Post Malone?
Tell us your
He has
problem.
face tats.
He has face
That's my problem.
And
I don't
wonder-
like him because of his
That was
tattoos.
a lot of it.
That's what I was
That
trying
was
to
perfect.
segue.
Do you
when we were talking
ever
face
wonder if
tats.
Post Malone wakes up and goes, probably shouldn't have done that?
Oh, he's got to.
He's got to.
Shout out to Sam Simpson. I led at the lift 2 weeks ago, and Sam told me that my voice sounded like a mix of Post Malone and someone else. I forgot who it was, and I was like,
Wow.
Who was it,
I
Sam?
was like, thank you.
Sam Simpson said that?
Yeah, I was like,
Oh, that was Sam.
I was like,
Okay,
thank
okay.
you. It
It's
was
kind of
Post
a weird
Malone.
mashup.
It was weird. Yeah, it was Post Malone and someone else. I said, thank you.
Okay.
I said, is that a good thing? She said, yeah. I was
I
like,
love it.
You have a good voice,
So,
Justin.
thank you,
Love
man.
So now you got to get face tats.
Yeah,
Now
I'm
you
good. I'm good.
please go rob
Dude,
the
do
net.
it.
Let
Nah,
it come out of that
Okay, what's your
collar.
question? What's your question?
The other question we talked about as well is just thoughts on AI. Question mark. We talked about AI.
So really what you would like to tell the people is listen to the podcast more faithfully.
You just did, you did one on Chat GPT, didn't you?
Well, I
did
do
the
feel like
chat.
now
Yeah,
my
it's really
understanding
good.
of AI
Really
is
good.
much different now
Hmm.
than it
Yo,
was
so
then.
other
AI is evolving.
side
bro.
note, shout out to whoever drove the Cybertruck to church Sunday.
I
Don't know
heard
if y'all
that.
saw
Whoa,
that.
what?
Yes, there
Don't
was
know
a
if you
cyber-
guys
There was a
saw it?
cyber truck?
I saw it, dude. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go on record. That thing is a monstrosity in person.
Really?
That thing is humongous.
I did not.
It looks sick.
Okay, here's
though.
what. Okay,
Like it looks sick.
we have never leveraged.
Or I just call it a monster, not a
Um,
monstrosity. That thing is a beast.
I'm gonna do something that this is history for the first time on the podcast.
Come
we
on.
have never leveraged our millions of listeners to get something. Okay,
Because
Let's
we
do
don't.
it. I wanna
I'm
drive
gonna
the
leverage.
Cybertruck.
I'm gonna leverage it. I'm
Because
gonna
we
leverage
don't
it.
have
You
it.
listen,
if we
and
get a
that's you.
connection to who
I want
ever
to
drove the
drive
Cybertruck,
that thing, bro.
I just want to ride in it. I don't want to drive it.
I want to
I
record a
drive.
podcast in it.
I want to.
Next
can we
episode.
ride
Next
in the
episode
Cybertruck?
in the Cybertruck.
So
Dude, how
so
sick
someone
is that?
We'll
listen
put
to this.
together a mobile podcast.
Like, dude, if I'm not mistaken,
do it.
Because none of us know who
goodness.
you don't know who it is.
I don't know.
I have
My
no idea.
dad saw it. I didn't even see it.
It was like
I wanna
parked
ride
in the
Cybertruck.
grass, and it looked like it was parked beside like a F-250 or something. And it is like
That's
it is
awesome.
it is a large
Glory to God.
like it looks Like I
know
mean,
what
it
we're
just
talking about,
looks like a monster.
You know what a Cybertruck?
You know what a Cybertruck is?
So yeah, I'm putting that out there. We've never done that.
That is
before.
so funny.
I'm putting that out there. If someone has a connection with a
That's
Cybertruck
awesome.
guy
Yeah.
or gal,
Dude,
Cybertruck guy. We don't
wouldn't
want
it be
to.
what if a
hilarious,
Cybertruck
though?
rolled out and it's like
We
5 foot tall white
but
woman?
wouldn't it be
guy?
great
It's
if
so
that
great.
person actually does listen?
That
That
would be
would be
weird.
awesome.
That would be so funny.
That would be so.
Like that would just be such a cool thing.
Cybertruck.
I don't know if you know this person, but for years, I would come down the steps from the studio and look out into the parking lot during pickup time
Uh-huh.
for school. And for years, there was this guy who drove a Lamborghini and a
yes.
G-Wagon. So
Nice.
he would flip flop them on days.
I love that.
So
Yeah, what a
That's-
life.
Yeah,
I
that's
always wanted to walk out there
that's
and be like,
crazy.
hey, can I just?
yeah, that's.
I
I don't
I
drive
just
it.
wanna-
Just wanna
yes.
take it for a
I don't
quick
even want to
spin.
drive it. Just drive me around the parking lot.
Just let me
See
go.
how quick this thing can go, baby.
Exactly.
So yeah, so
Ricky
Justin
Bobby.
Justin.Kinley at FPCR.
That's funny.
If you know
Cybertruck-
if you know-
Cybertruck in the subject. You know who you are. I don't need a prank. I don't need someone saying, "Hey, man, it's
How
me,"
cool
and
is
it's not
that?
them. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
dog.
You gonna give them a
Uh,
shout out?
Huh?
You gonna give them a shout out if they can make it happen?
Yes.
Oh no, we're gonna put it on video.
We'll put a
Like, we're
picture.
gonna vlog it. Or
We'll
something.
post it on the
Like,
picture. We'll put it as the thumbnail for the podcast.
There we go. That's it. I love it. I love it. All right, Steve, you got a question? You got
Oh
one?
wait. Okay. Here's a question. Thank you.
Yes.
Forget that I had questions here.
Dude, how many more do you have?
I kind of got a lot.
Are we ready to do? We're not. Dude, we're nowhere. We're at
No,
an
we're
hour.
nowhere
Let's
near.
go,
No,
baby.
we're just hitting
Side
stride.
note, funny story on the Chat GPT.
Uh-huh.
My sister's a teacher, and I read across a blog where, and she was telling me about it. A lady would type out whenever she wanted her kids to do papers in school, she would type out all the instructions on a piece of paper, and in the smallest font that she can make it, white, she would write, put banana and something else in every paragraph. But whenever you copied and pasted it in Chat GPT, you never saw
Just
it.
never saw it.
Oh,
So
because the banana
then-
didn't come up.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
she would
that's
spotlight
good.
search banana to see if the kid had used Chat GPT to write the
It's
paper.
brilliant.
Oh, that's
How
so
many
smart.
used it,
Teachers,
dude?
the
I-
backbone of
I-
America.
Oh, that's so
Love
good.
it. That's beautiful.
All right. Here's the question. Serious question.
good.
Outsmarting the.
Very, very
And
smart.
the question has kind of a setting in it, but I'm gonna ask it just like it was asked. How do you find it in your heart to forgive the unforgivable? Like someone who murders someone you're close to, or someone who abuses someone you're close to.
I think I answered this way different, or I don't know. I'm not even getting an answer yet. I told our students. I think Sam was a couple months ago. I can't remember. I was like, I think when I first, because I've been here 6 years now, which is crazy. And I remember when I first got in, I think if you'd ask me like day one or maybe year one of being a youth pastor, is it easier to be a youth pastor in a place year one, or I'll just say year 6 right now? I think I would have told you year 6 at the time, because I was like, you're more established, you have rhythms set, you have your foundation, all that stuff. I think looking back, and now that I'm in this moment, I feel like the longer you're at a place, the harder it is to be there. And not just because, like, for a lot of other reasons. It's just like the longer you're someone's pastor, people just trust you more. They're gonna share with you. I have students who share things with me now that they weren't sharing with me year one. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And different things. And I say that to say, like, I think if I could go back in time, which I know I can't, but if I go back in time, I think I would answer this a lot quicker. But now I answer it with a lot more not hesitation is the wrong word, but patience and slowly, because I know a lot of people have had some really crappy things done to them.
Yep. That's correct.
And that's really, really hard, man. It's really, really hard.
Go ahead. Keep going.
No, but I think it boils down to, like, I don't know, man. What's Jesus used the parable with the guy who owes a certain amount of talents, right?
Yeah.
And the master forgives him, and then he runs out and runs into another guy who owes him something, and it's just minuscule compared to what he was just forgiven. And the guy says no, and he takes him to quell that stuff, and the master that forgave him, I know I'm butchering this story,
That's right.
but the master that forgave him is like, yo, I forgave you with this much debt,
Yeah.
and you're not going to forgive him of this tiny amount of debt. And I don't know, so I think it's so pivotal that we just remind ourselves of the gospel every day, that God forgave me.
Yeah.
And I have a list of I always say, and I really do believe this, is my sin against God is way worse than any sin that someone's committed against me.
Right.
And I think I stand by that. And I know that sounds crazy and sounds hard, but if we really do view our sin, all have fallen short of the glory of God, woe is me before a holy, righteous God, then man, if I realize that God's forgiven me, then that fuels my ability to forgive others.
Yeah. But I think sometimes
it's really hard.
It is hard. But I think it goes to, do we allow ourselves to realize that we have sinned in a way that needs that kind of forgiveness?
Right. Right.
And we don't spend a lot of time realizing how horrible our sin is against God.
Right.
We don't.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is, in fact, I don't even know if you can rightly understand how much you're sinned against by somebody until you realize how much you've sinned against God.
I agree.
And so how do you communicate? I mean, I have an illustration, a story in my mind. Sometimes every once in a while you share something in the student and a person gets it. And it was an abuse situation. And very angry, very hurt. Like, where was God? How dare this? How whatever. And I totally was at pain. And I just remember thinking, and I was like, okay, I'm going to share this. It was so bad what happened to you. That sin was so horrible. Let me tell you how bad that sin was. Jesus had to die to be the solution for even that sin.
Yeah.
So don't think that it's no big deal.
Right.
Because let me tell you about Jesus. How horrible was his death on the cross.
Right. Right.
That's how bad that was.
Right. Right.
So it's not like it was no big deal.
Right.
And so, and that sin against you, that's his sin against you, he will either pay for or it will be paid for like your sin against God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the other part. Nobody gets away with sin.
Right. Right.
And so, but it's not. It's
There's
painful.
if the person asks the question and like this, if this is one of those questions like you're seriously struggling with this, I'm gonna recommend that you read a book entitled, I think it's entitled "Forgive" or "Forgiveness" by Tim Keller.
Mhm.
You need to read that book. He takes a deep dive into what forgiveness even means from a New Testament as well as an Old Testament perspective. He gives the history of forgiveness. It's an incredible book.
So Tim Keller, Forgive, Why Should I, and How Can I?
Yes, you need to read that book. If you are asking that question and that is the cry of your heart, you need to pick that book up and read that book. But with that, because some things that he talks about in there, a quote from C.S. Lewis comes to my mind where he says that everyone thinks forgiveness is a lovely idea until he or she has something or someone to forgive.
Mhm.
And it's true. Like, every one of us loves the idea of forgiveness when we're the ones that's going to receive it. But every single one of us gets uncomfortable with the idea of having to give it to someone else. And it is literally, the answer is as simple as you must forgive. I think that's, and I'm not stretched. The word of God, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32, if I'm not mistaken, says, as Christ and God, or as God and Christ forgave you, so you also must. It's not you should, it's you have to.
Mhm.
It's you must. If you're going to follow Jesus, you must forgive. You're never more like Jesus than when you're forgiving somebody, right? But with that, it's not easy, right? So this is the thing that Keller gets into in the book. This is the most profound thing that I ever heard of in relation to forgiveness, is that forgiveness always comes with a cost.
Yes,
And when you forgive somebody, you are incurring that cost upon yourself.
that's good.
That as long as you don't forgive, you're demanding that they pay in some way, shape, or form. But when you choose to forgive,
Keller's a legend.
when forgiveness, it's
Brother.
literally
This is the quote, because it says, forgiveness is a form of voluntary suffering.
Yeah.
In forgiving, rather than retaliating,
Mhm.
you make a choice to bear the cost.
exactly you incur that debt upon yourself, because the debt has to be paid. So you take that upon yourself, and you say and forgiveness is not saying
Oh, Lord.
forgiveness is looking at the person in the face and saying, you did what you did to hurt me.
That's right.
There is no You didn't do this by happenstance. You did this to hurt me, and I want you to know it hurt like hell.
Mm-hmm.
But God in Christ has forgiven me.
Yep.
And so how can I not forgive you?
That's right.
And that one is, it literally is as simple as, how can you not forgive when you know what Jesus has forgiven? To forgive somebody, it makes it a lot easier when you know that God has chosen to forgive the unforgivable in you.
Yeah.
Right. And you go on and on and on. Like, as I've preached on this so many times, where the idea comes, well, they're not worthy to be forgiven. Dude, you weren't worthy to be forgiven. And as long as you wait until somebody's worthy, you're going to wait for the rest of your life.
That's right.
You're
Right.
insisting that they pay penance, and you can't do that to someone. Jesus didn't do that to you. And that doesn't negate, and that's the thing too, Keller gets into that too, like what is not forgiveness? Like, so what is not forgiveness is you saying, okay, I forgive you for what you did. Now come back into my life and abuse me
That
again.
is
That's
not
not
what that
forgiveness,
is.
that's foolishness.
That's foolish.
And he'll say that in the book. Like, that's silly. That's stupid. That is bad. Right? So that's not, it's not, okay, you take, specifically like in the case of like murder, abuse, or other horrendous sins, which are also crimes. In that regard, it's not to simply, you just wash over it. Water under the bridge now. Come back into my life. Remember, we talked about this before, I think, on the podcast. Like, look, if you steal $20 from me, I forgive you. But guess what? You ain't never getting close to my wallet again.
That's exactly right.
Ever.
Ever.
Because you done stole from me. So if you abuse me, guess what? I forgive you. But you ain't never getting a chance to do that again.
So do you think, though, I'm going to push back on that a little bit. Do you think that ever has to be so, like, you emphasize that so strong? I'm not saying that soon. I'm not saying, I'm saying like,
I'm saying
like
in
if
cases,
I have a friend, like if I have a friend, just me
Well,
and you, right?
go ahead.
I do something to you
Yeah.
that requires you to forgive me.
Mhm.
Is there not, because like, okay, like we can talk about forgiveness, but we have the message of reconciliation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point.
And so like, and I think you can be reconciled, but also not be at that same trust level. But is there some, like, okay, to use a money illustration,
Yeah.
you might not let me borrow $20 again. There might become a time you let me borrow $5. And then there might be a time you let me borrow
Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. If you stole $20 from me, I might let you borrow $20. I might give you $20, but you ain't getting close to my wallet where you can take it yourself.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm getting across. Where it's like,
Because I agree with you. I
'Cause
just like does
well, no, I hear what you're
Yeah,
saying with
yeah.
the reconciliation aspect. It's like the relationship is what needs to be
Yeah.
reconciled.
yeah.
And
Right.
I think
It's the same thing like sex offenders. Like, dude, you ain't never gonna be allowed near a school again, and you should. I don't care if you was lost before you did all that, and then you get saved. Guess what? You still shouldn't be allowed to be near a school.
Yeah.
I don't care how much God changed your heart, dude.
Mhm.
You still sinful. You can still do the same. You have the same propensity to do the things that you did prior to this.
Mhm.
Why should I let you back? We're not gonna do that. And why would you even want to be?
that's right. Because that would
You know
be
what
the
I mean?
thing. It's like you should actually understand.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Exactly. And so, no, I mean, I think it's a very the topic of forgiveness. It is a very misunderstood thing where we just think like, okay, well, I'm just gonna forgive and like, it's okay, they did this. Like, no. You got to look at it. Call it evil.
Yes.
What you did. You didn't take the. If you're wrestling with this question, it's because you're wrestling with that first part of
Yeah.
realizing just how bad what they've done is, and you need to sit in that. You need to realize, like, dude, I'm not just going to overlook, because a lot of times we think, well, I choose to forgive you, and it's like, dude, but you just overlooking it,
Mm.
and the overlooking is not the same thing as forgiving. Jesus did not overlook your sin when he died on the cross. He was murdered for your sin to forgive you. He didn't overlook crap, dude.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He didn't wink at it. He looked at it straight in the face and said, I am choosing to die for this
And I'm
so
gonna
that
sacrifice.
I can forgive and bring about reconciliation. I'm not overlooking one thing that you ever did. Not one thing am I going to overlook. I know it all and thousands more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, that's but he chooses, as far as the east is from the west, to remove them from us. So it's just, I don't know. I think pick the book up, read the book.
Check it out.
It's a long book, but every single page is worth reading.
I like it. I like
Joe, you were
that.
going to say, what do you think, man?
It's never easy
No.
Forgiveness
No.
is never easy.
That's how you know you're forgiving them.
Right.
Because
I think that's
hard.
it. That's it too. That's it too. Yeah.
If it's easy, you might not be forgiving them.
You're overlooking it.
You're
Exactly.
overlooking it,
You're overlooking it.
and you're setting yourself up to be hurt again.
Yes.
What was it? I can't remember who told me this. They said,
But that's the
forgive.
thing. You don't need to put yourself in the situation.
That's right. That's right.
For it to be happening
That's right.
again.
Because oftentimes what happens is you, even like the somebody stole $20 from me and like you were a close friend or whatever. Like there was like some company that you brought something to me that I liked, some like sort of relationship or whatever. And so like now, if you do that to me, for me to truly forgive you, I have to say, dude, you stole from me. Now things in our relationship have to change.
That's right.
And that costs you something else as well. Like it doesn't just cost you,
Yeah.
the $20, so to speak. It costs you the fact that like, dude, we were close friends. We are not going to be close friends.
Yep.
Again, dude, you
The relationship
betrayed
has
my
changed.
trust, dude.
The relationship has changed. And That's a
Right.
sacrifice.
Right. And so
And now you
it's-
have to learn to live in a different setting of that
Right.
relationship. What was it? It's the idea of, because people say, "Oh, forgive and forget." No, you forgive and forsake. What you do is you forgive, and then
Yeah.
you forsake. This is the part where I say it becomes relational. Like if you've been harmed,
Yeah.
your desire is to sacrifice and realize I'm forgiving that, because then somebody would also say, "What if they don't ask me?" I was like, "Well, how do you live in a posture of I'm forgiving them. I'm letting
Yeah.
them go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold them prisoner anymore."
Yep.
But the forsaking, you don't forget it. Just get over that.
Yes.
But you can forsake it every time it starts to knock on your door to feel
That's good.
enslaved by it,
That's really good.
angry at, or the desire to see that person suffer because of
Yep.
it. You forsake that attitude.
Yep.
You're like, nope, I am
Yep.
not going to wish the worst for them, even if they've done me bad.
Yep.
I'm going to choose forgiveness and forsake the thought of not forgiving them today. And that's an ongoing
love
thing.
that.
It's an ongoing thing.
I love that. That's good.
Yeah.
Forgiveness, man.
I got a little
mean,
fiery.
Well,
That's
dude,
good.
I love it.
the reason,
good.
so I got fiery for a couple. One, it's at the very heart of the gospel.
It is. It's the gospel.
Like it is Christianity to
It's
a T.
so
And so
good.
whenever my heart goes out to anyone, if a Christian ever asks, "How can I?" Like my heart goes out to you because I understand. And you say you don't understand. Dude, I said this at camp. I have things on my record that will never come off of my record because of something one individual did to me.
Right.
So this is near and dear to my heart, where it's like, dude, my life is forever changed because of one person. And I know the individual's name. I talked to him after all this happened, after I became a Christian. You know what I did?
Yeah, I love that story.
I walked up to him, shook his hand, and I said, "I know what you did and why you did it. You did it to harm me, but I'm choosing to forgive you." He didn't understand, right? So this is, and I mean, I'm emotional
Yeah.
Mhm.
because this is, dude, this is it. You get this wrong, like, man, families are destroyed because people don't forgive each other.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is more, like this is the most, like at the very heart of Christianity. This is it. Like this is it. You know. So I think that, yeah, this is very important.
word.
And so, yeah, I want. Yeah,
You
I
see that
want
person,
people.
when I think of the right story, when you saw that person in a Bojangles or something.
Mhm,
I remember you told it. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
great.
dude.
That was great.
Yeah.
Woo.
Good stuff,
I
man.
love it when the gospel hits.
Joey he didn't know he was coming for this today.
I love it.
That's,
man.
I mean,
I didn't know we were coming for this
That's
today.
right.
I love
I
it,
didn't
man.
either. I like it.
I like it.
But hey, I think this is a good segue because it kind of stays on.
Love it.
Because I think one thing with the cross that's so unique and crazy awesome to consider is, and I think there's a weird, awesome juxtaposition in Scripture that whenever you see mercy,
What do you mean by juxtaposition?
like opposite ends of the spectrum,
Okay,
holding each other together.
Is that okay that I did that? 'Cause
That's fine.
there's
Yeah,
a-
they're both in play
It's a
with
crazy
one.
word.
They're both in play
it's
with
a
one
great
another.
word to
right?
put in your vocabulary. By the way.
This is what I think is really cool, and this is,
Got a lot
I
of
think this would be a
layers.
cool paper. This would be a cool paper. Is how whenever the mercy of God is present, the wrath of God is also present as well.
Ooh.
Right? That you have both of those things in tandem happening at the same time. And the cross is the greatest example of that, right? That the wrath of God, Jesus drinks the cup, right? The wrath of God is poured out on his son. But also at the cross, you have the mercy of God happening,
That's
right?
right.
And so with that segue of God being wrathful, right? And the wrath of God being a thing, the question was, how do you explain Numbers 15, 32 through 36, which I pulled that up.
Gotta get the
Well,
gotta get the book out.
That's when someone, and I'm going to be straight with you, it does seem really harsh.
Numbers what?
Numbers 15, 32 through 36.
15:32.
Where did it take? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Deuteronomy. Numbers 15 again? Did you say 15?
Yeah, 15, 32 through 36.
There it is.
No, your numbers, right? Yeah, the Sabbath executed. While the people of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath. And those who found him gathering sticks brought unto Moses and Aaron to all the congregation. They put him into custody because it had not been made clear what should be done to him. And the Lord said to Moses, the man shall be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones outside the camp. And all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him to death with the stones as the Lord had commanded Moses. What a fun passage.
And all the people said, hallelujah.
The question is, I understand that God is a just God and is a just and fair. I understand that God is a just God and is a just and fair God. I think I messed up the question there. But how do I explain that to a non-believer?
The passage or the idea of God being just? And
I'm taking it the idea of God being just, and I think that's just what it is how to explain that to non-believers who say that this is how to explain Numbers 15, 32, 36 to non-believers who say that God is cruel and violent.
Right.
I understand that God is a just and fair God, but how do I explain that to a non-believer? I think so. I'll take it first. I think we have
please do.
I think we have.
I've got to go use the bathroom, but I want this. Keep going.
I think we have. Do we do?
No, keep going. Just keep going.
I think we have a cool opportunity to capitalize on this in our culture right now, especially if this is a non-believer. Okay, so here's my take. I think our culture, non-Christians even, are desperate and starving for justice. Social justice, justice. I mean, this is why, like, let's just be real. Like, this is why we see, like, riots and stuff and marches of
protests,
like, oh, that was injustice. We need justice to answer whatever the said wrong was.
Right.
So I actually think, and I don't know if this is a shift or not. I actually think when you're talking to a non-believer, there's some really obvious, so there's some examples you like to say, like, man, like, first off, do you think justice is a good thing? The answer is probably going to be yes.
Right.
I would hope so. Right. And then I think is bridging that gap in an evangelistic conversation to say, like, actually, like, because of sin, like, we need God to be a God of justice.
Right.
Right. That's not something that we should dodge around. That's actually really awesome, wonderful news that God is not, as you were just saying, that's why I think this question goes so well.
Yeah.
God is not going to overlook sin. Right, what is it? Revelation said in Isaiah, justice will roll like a river. Like, justice is going to come,
right,
and that's a really beautiful, awesome thing. So I think we actually, I think we're in an interesting spot where I think justice in evangelistic conversations, I think justice is not something that we need to, like, kind of tiptoe around.
Let's not be
but
scared of.
it's like actually, it's like, no, God is a God of justice, and that's actually a really great and glorious thing.
Right.
But I say all that to say, Numbers 15 is intense.
Number 15. Wow.
I mean, it's intense.
Wow.
It's intense. Let's be real.
I thought you were going to go into it.
Well, I think honestly the part that and I've never studied this.
Go ahead.
The part that to me is a stumbling block, if I can say, is they put him into custody because it had not been made clear what should be done to him. But in my head, hasn't it been made clear?
What should happen to somebody who breaks the Sabbath?
Is that not in Exodus?
Well, so that's so that's what I would say to the listener. I'm more disturbed by I'm more disturbed by verse 27. If one person sins unintentionally, he shall offer a male or female goat a year old for a sin offering. I'm more, the question of how does one sin unintentionally, right? Because this one, it is somebody on the Sabbath day gathering sticks, which is unlawful. You're not, on the Sabbath day, you should do no work. Not you, your household, your servants, your children, your mom and them, nobody, right? That's the commandment of God when it comes to the Sabbath. And they found somebody, gathering sticks, and they bring him to Moses and Aaron, who are in charge, essentially governance over the people of Israel. And they put him in custody because it had not been made clear what should be done to him. And it seems like Moses and Aaron, they're like, what should we do, God? And God says to Moses, the man shall be put to death, right? So I think in this case, how do you explain this? Well, God gave a law, right?
Which that's what to go back to real quick. Just hold that
Yeah.
thought. But
Yeah.
Exodus 35, which I mean, I know this is elementary. Exodus comes before Numbers, so Exodus 35 is written before Numbers.
Yep.
Sabbath day regulations, Exodus 35 verse 2: 6 days of work shall be done, but on the seventh day you shall have a Sabbath of solemn rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. So it's almost
there you go.
that's why that phrase is weird to me, because it says it had not been made clear what should be done to him.
Might have been how they put him to death. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe
Could have been that.
Maybe.
But it could have also been that the man that they found was, because we are on the fly here, people. Could have been that the man that they found was not an Israelite,
It's true, and
so they didn't know what to do with him.
well, here's the
because
thing.
he's not-
I think what tend to people judge this passage of scripture. Well, God just boom, he just blew off the handle. No, hang on. There's some words here
Right.
that show there was some thought, there was some litigation
Yes.
involved. What am I talking about? Well, let me explain. It says, what was the verse? Well, did I leave it? Did I go away? In Numbers 15, is that right?
15:32 through 36.
15:32 through 4. Okay.
I think it's 35.
While the people of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man. We don't know if he was Israelite, but we don't know. Doesn't matter. Gathering sticks on the Sabbath. And those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses and Aaron, to all the congregation. Okay, to all the congregation means, okay, what's probably happening here? They put him in custody. They didn't kill him right away because it had not been made clear what should be done with him. That section of scripture, I would say, leans towards, and this is one of the reasons we have jury trials, guys, is because God's system works.
Right.
It's not just, oh, he was picking up sticks, put him to death.
Yeah.
No, there was probably, he was picking up sticks. We need to know what's going on. So God said he's going to be put to death. That's an extreme case, but could it have been a situation where it wasn't just the picking up sticks?
Yeah.
So, you see what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. I think the thing we overlook is it's not just a slapstick decision. Boom. There is, let's ask questions.
measured.
Let's get witnesses. And we know 2 or 3 witnesses before this.
Yeah.
What happens and what are you going at? Are you a Sabbath breaker? You read the Old Testament. Sabbath's pretty important.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
Would you say we probably don't know the entire backstory to this, to why?
That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
I don't think we
yeah.
know, I don't think we know everything. So what I'm trying to do is just
Because-
draw out general
because
principles.
So what? Yeah, yeah.
Right, right.
Conflicted of what this is saying, us not knowing the backstory, and
Yeah.
then
Right.
what
And-
Luke.
So
And I would
what
say
it
that-
said in Luke 14.
one of the things that I think it could be, because the more I look at it, the more I think about it, the more I'm going to say the man was not an Israelite, because they were in the wilderness and they found a man. And not only did they find a man, they bring him to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation. In other words, this man was not a part of the congregation.
Okay, that's a good.
And
point.
so they bring him in, they present him, right? They say what should be done to him, which to me, the general principle is, does the law of God apply to believers and non-believers? And I think the principle is it
Yes, it
applies to
does.
non-believers as well as believers,
That's
right?
Romans 1.
Exactly. So therefore, what I'm seeing in it is that God is a God of justice, right? Because he's given this law. And this law wasn't just for the people of Israel. This law is for humanity. By the way, what's the only law that's still binding on all of humanity? The moral law, the 10 Commandments. Where is the Sabbath commandment? In the Ten Commandments. It's not in the ceremonial or even the civil law, right? So it is there in the midst of the moral law, right? So in light of that, I'm thinking, dude, it's showing us that this isn't just for God's people. This is for God's people and all people. And God takes serious his law. And if you break his law, you will die.
Mm-hmm.
And then so how do you explain this passage to a non-believer? Dude,
Keep
you're
his
going to
law.
die.
If you don't keep his
If
law,
you
you're
don't,
going to
you've
die.
broken his law. You're going to die.
Yeah.
You're gonna
But guess
die.
what? Jesus died for you.
That's right.
He had bore the curse upon himself to where you don't have to die this spiritual death.
Right.
Yes.
Right? You're going to
Right.
die a physical death. You're probably not going to get stoned,
Right.
you know?
But something I have to think of is that this man in this scenario
Yeah.
deserved the death penalty.
Yeah.
Now I don't know the whole story,
Mhm.
but God said put him to death.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
deserved
I ain't
to be
arguing
put
God.
to death.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wait, I don't know the whole story. Yeah, but God does,
Mhm.
and
Right.
decree and literally said the verdict is
Yep.
death penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what you pointed out is really good. That God is, he's not. I think this is a picture maybe unbelievers have when they read this. It's like, oh well, God's just flying off the rails.
Yeah, dude,
he
does
just got.
that.
He
doesn't.
He woke up mad. He
Yeah,
chose
yeah,
violence.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
That's
right.
an
It's like-
angry God
yeah.
in the Old
It's like
Testament.
no, God is measured in His wrath.
Wow.
His,
And
which
slow
is-
to anger.
And slow to anger.
Yes.
Yeah, the word
Which
says
makes
slow
you
to
wonder
anger.
how patient was he with this man before he
How many
finally...
times did this man pick up sticks on the
What?
Sabbath?
Yeah.
See, why don't we ever consider that?
Yeah.
Which is
we
a
don't
room.
know the rest
We
of the
don't know.
story.
Yeah.
This man had a stick business. He probably had a stick business
Yeah.
with a
My
lot of
man
people
was
picking up
selling
sticks.
on the
He
Sabbath.
was
Yeah.
selling.
Yeah.
He was like, "Wait, I got a corner of the market. Nobody does stick business on the Sabbath."
I think too. I will.
Saturday's prime business,
that's good,
baby.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I will say too, when we were working through Joshua last year, man, the Lord used Rahab's story in my life to help answer a lot of questions like this. Because a lot of people, I mean, this is not an uncommon question. Like a lot of people have this question of
That's
like,
true.
how do people just die in the Old Testament? Rahab's story is so incredibly helpful to I think this question, to this thought, because I think we can. I don't know if we've talked about this before on the podcast. I don't know if we have. Joey, have we talked about this here or more recent?
He's our expert.
So Rahab was a prostitute in Jericho, right? This is Jericho's happening after Numbers 15. Okay, so let's timeline, right? Rahab was a prostitute in Jericho. I think we don't know her age. I think it's fair to say, can we assume, for her profession, she's probably young, on the younger side of the spectrum. I think that's
or
fair
at least she
to say.
looks like it.
Okay, I think that's, at least she looks like it. I think that's fair to say. I mean, that's true. You're probably not wrong. I mean, that's funny, but I think true. So here's why I say that, and here's why that timeline's important. How long do people wander in the wilderness for, Brad?
It was 40 years.
40 years. So 40 years between Egypt and Exodus and them stepping on the plains of Jericho. Here's why that's important. When the spies come to Rahab, she hides them, and basically they ask her why. And she begins to give this incredibly detailed account.
That's right.
Incredibly detailed account of what God did in Egypt,
Yeah.
of what God did to the gods of the Amorites, to the armies of the Amorites. She begins to really give a faith confession. And this is why I say this. She wasn't even alive in all probability
That's right.
when the Exodus happened. She wasn't even alive. Let's just call it what it is. She's a prostitute. It's not like she's like the king of Jericho's daughter and she has all this great education.
She
Like,
doesn't
wait,
come from
no, she didn't
great
come from that.
background,
If
yeah.
and what I looked at, then I'm like, if the prostitute in Jericho knew about God and knew enough to put her faith, she knew the promises of God. She knew that the land was given him, all this stuff.
True.
If she knew, I think the widespread knowledge of God had permeated through that land.
So take this random guy in the wilderness.
I'm gonna say
Sees this large group of people.
I'm gonna
You
say
know what
he
I mean?
knows a lot
Yeah.
more than we. I don't
Yeah.
think he does. I don't think this guy is totally ignorant
Right.
to like, these are the people that God brought out of Egypt.
Yes.
I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that.
And he
They
was
behave differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
and-
seen them observe the Sabbath.
Yes,
Right.
I don't think that's a limb. I don't think that's a flimsy limb. And so what I would say is, and because it goes back to Romans 1, right? Men, we're without excuse, right? We look and we see the invisible attributes of God as displayed everywhere.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I think that's just important to think about as we often think of the wrath of God, because Joshua is a big book that people use to look at the wrath of God. A lot of people are being wiped out, all this stuff. How is that fair? And I'm like, because they're in rebellion against who God is and what He's doing. And the news flash for us today is if you are in rebellion against God and what He's doing, then you will die too.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that means you need to
mean-
have coffee with someone tomorrow and say, hey, here's the deal. You're going to die. But I think it's being willing to be honest, but it's being willing to have that conversation that all the wages of sin is still death.
You remember
What's up,
how
bud?
you heard the story about how David Platt and Tony Marie that used to evangelize in New Orleans when they were at New Orleans Baptist
I
Theological
can only
Seminary.
imagine.
They so like New Orleans, a lot of voodoo, a lot of stuff. We went to New Orleans
Wacky
a
stuff.
couple years ago.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jamie Dew, who's not listening, but he's president in New Orleans. So shout out to him.
Hey.
Maybe we'll get him to listen. Maybe we'll bring him on.
Maybe it was
In
his.
the
That'd be
Tesla
something.
truck.
Maybe
We'll
it's
drive
wild.
the Tesla truck.
Yeah,
to
dude,
get
he'll
him.
bring his side.
That's
Yeah,
so-
no, yeah. So
Cybertruck.
no. Anyways, they would set up right in downtown on the streets. They would set up and they would like, I can't remember if they fully dressed like fortune tellers or if they would have like a fortune teller's table and it said, "Want to know your future? Talk to us." And some people would
it's
come to
brilliant.
them and
Yeah.
they would go, "Here's your future. You're gonna die." And they would like use that to segue into like a gospel conversation.
Let me tell you what's
How
crazy.
funny
Have
is
you-
that,
That's
dude?
smart.
Have you
Like
ever
to see,
been?
because I want to envision David Platt wearing
Yeah.
like a
What's
you know,
weird
like
is
a little
Tracy
hat
and I
with
were
a
there
little-
this year, and there's a whole avenue
Mhm.
where that those booths are set up. I
yeah,
bet you it was
that's
in
probably
those
was
booths.
probably where they were. Yeah, how funny is that,
Smart.
dude?
Yeah.
Isn't
That's
that
so
good?
smart.
Isn't that good?
Smart.
Yeah.
That's contextualization right there.
That is.
At its
Yeah, it
finest.
is. Yeah, I would say to before we segue to the next. I think again because I just believe in this really strongly. I think we have a good opportunity as Christians in this culture that is so desiring justice to say,
Yeah.
hey, actually, it's a really, really good thing that God
Yeah.
is wrathful against sin.
Yes.
And no, as we just said in the forgiveness, no
Yes.
sin's going to go
Yes.
unpunished. Like
Even
God,
with that,
like his
especially with
wrath
that.
is dealt with sin.
Yep.
And so I don't think it's something we need to tiptoe around. I think it's as we begin to wade into those waters of that conversation,
Yeah.
you can actually probably look at a person and say, man, don't you think a rapist should receive justice?
Ooh.
And they're probably going to
Yep.
say, yeah. It's
Yep.
like, well, that sin is
You
going to
shouldn't
be
go
dealt with.
scot free.
Yes, exactly.
No, in fact, you should be
Right.
put to death.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
just, yeah.
Come to Jesus and still be put to death.
It's just, you know, Steve
not-
Steve goes so hard on this. I'm not
You go-
stepping into
I'm
it.
not on that.
I'm not.
box.
Let me.
I'm not on
let
that.
I
me-
am
box.
let me
totally
double
with it.
back.
I'm
like,
Steve
you
goes
and I'm okay
so
with being separate.
hard.
I'm
You
okay.
raped. We have 2 or 3 witnesses. It's clear cut.
This
You
was-
need to see. You need to come to
So-
Christ and throw yourself at the feet of Jesus because you're about to see Him.
You're gonna
Yeah.
see. This
But
is-
and that's where we had a great go back and listen to the
Personal-
No,
that's
here's
my
a-
favorite.
We're
That
gonna
is one of
go.
my favorite
I'm definitely
episodes.
gonna plead this one. Go back and listen to the death penalty conversation. 'Cause
Dog.
what I love about you, and I love this about you,
He's
man.
so consistent
Talking
with it right
we,
now.
One, he's consistent with it, but two, what I
Go
love
farther.
is I do think we established in that conversation, like me and you and us probably do have differences on like,
Right.
okay, like what is the line for death penalty? But
Right.
what I love about you, and this is what is great, and this is how us get have disagreement sometimes, is like, okay, as that person is about to receive the death penalty, then bro, the church should be
Get in
even
there.
there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
saying, bro, let me preach the gospel
You
to you.
are
Because
about
even the
right.
thief on the cross
Yeah.
placed his faith in
What?
Christ and was in paradise the next
That's
day.
exactly
And
right.
I love you for that. And so, yeah,
Get
go
in
back
there.
and listen. I think we had an episode
That is one of my
titled Death
favorite
Penalty.
episodes. I remember sitting and I was like, I remember just being like, holy moly, Steve.
now-
and then
I
I
haven't listened to that.
and
one.
like Steve did not laugh.
May 11th.
I was like, yo, he's serious.
Dude, how
wanna-
is that not
you
our
wanna-
most listened to
serious.
episode? Listen to this
You
title.
wanna-
What's this title that made? Death penalty, pronouns, and Jesus' favorite color. And that doesn't have the most listens we ever had is with Eli, and it's not because of Eli. I'm not giving him that
It's
credit.
not because of
it's
him.
women preachers, fast food, and boycotts.
Probably because of
You
women
listen to that
preachers
one?
and boycotts.
The
'Cause it
women
was right after
preachers.
Target,
that
wasn't
was clickbaity.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
I
fine.
love it.
Let's do a fun one. How are y'all's day? Love that question.
it. Turner asked that one.
I don't know.
He asked one. He said, "How are you guys doing?"
How are y'all's day?
How
How
was
was
our
your day, Joey?
Man, today has been interesting.
Really?
It's been
Explain.
very interesting. We're doing we're actually getting ready for high school camp.
This is a big meeting day for you, isn't it?
We're
You
actually
are getting
getting
ready for high school camp.
Don't you meet on Mondays?
You know what I love? He's saying
No.
we're getting ready. I don't know what meeting he's talking about.
so.
I was gonna say, do you guys have a meeting
I have
planned?
one at
'Cause it's
4:30.
like,
Okay.
okay.
So we're getting ready for high school camp. So we're
What?
we bought a bunch of stuff
What?
to get ready for high school camp,
What does he do?
and it didn't work out. So we had to
Keep the receipts and
didn't
return
work
it.
out. I know Amazon, great.
What?
So we actually had to
Don't give any
come up
spoilers.
with a different idea, but we've got it figured out.
I can't wait to
This
talk
is-
to you about this.
It's gonna be great.
Can I tell you the best advice? One of the best advice I've ever gotten on staff here was from my man right here to my right, which is Steve Strickland.
Steve.
When we used to just like, and he said, "Dude, why don't you just ask Joey one year?" You remember even you were the one suggesting.
Yeah, it's-
He's like, "Why don't you just ask Joey if you come?" I'm like, I never thought about that,
This is so
and I,
the rest is history.
dude,
great. It's
It's gonna
transformative.
be great.
I love you,
It's
Joey.
And it's
Right,
fun.
so it is
And
a
you're
good
having a
job.
great time.
Yeah, we have a good time.
Can I tell you?
So good.
And I'll tell you the moment that I'm gonna tell a Joey story. Can I do that? Are you gonna
Come
get embarrassed?
on.
You're gonna blush.
No.
Zoom in on his face real quick.
You
I
can't
want.
zoom in.
I want the camera.
We
to
don't have
catch-
those kind of
I
cameras.
want his.
We're getting that's the next.
We don't
step.
have that
Next
technology.
step.
I'm just
Next
kidding.
step.
I'm just kidding. So can I give a sound guy stereotype and see if you
Sure.
agree with this? Most sound guys, I love them. I've worked with many. A lot of them are so
Self-absorbed.
particular. Joey said self-absorbed. I'm not gonna say it. But like sound guys can be hard to work with, and
Very much so.
I do get it. I do understand because a lot of sound guys are gifted in ways that I'm not gifted.
They hear
And
things
so
you don't hear.
They hear things I don't hear. They see. I totally get that. And because we had never really, I must say, worked together. I mean, I know obviously we're on staff together, but never one on one had we really worked in close proximity. I think that's fair to say.
Right.
And man, camp 2 years ago, I'll never forget this. We had the
Oh gosh, I know this. I know
Oh,
the
dude,
story.
dude, it was so we meet in a room that's massive. I mean, a sound
What's-
person's nightmare. Am I right?
Very much.
Probably, yeah, very much so. And I walk in, and they were. This is before students were in there. I walk in, and it sounded so good, but it was so loud Because tell me if I'm right or wrong. This
Okay,
I'm gonna simplify this. Sound guy, you're trying to fill the room.
Correct.
Yeah, and that room is so massive.
It's a big room.
It's got to be filled with a
So
lot of volume.
You have to push it at a volume to where people in the back row can hear it. But the students that are standing literally
faces off.
10 inches away from the speakers
It was.
are like I can only imagine.
Bro, and so I was standing in the back, and I felt like it was loud, and I mean I don't care about loud music, but I care if it's like stopping people from singing. And I'll never forget. I walked up to the front for some reason, which I don't normally do, and literally, if I'm on video here, like you had the speaker, and it was like a 10-foot radius around the speaker, and it looked like in Raiders of the Lost Ark when they open up the Ark Covenant, and the face just began melting away. That's what it felt
It's
like.
totally.
And here's what I love though, and Joey, you have no idea how much this meant to me. I walked back to Joey, and I was like, dude, I don't remember how I said it, but I was like, dude, I was like, I know this might kill you, I think, but I said, it's so loud that they literally, I think I said like they can't sing. Like it's so loud. And I'll never forget, you looked at me and you were just like, dude, no problem, we'll take care of it. And he immediately turned,
Legend.
and I'm
We
not,
literally took the
Legend.
speakers off the floor and put them on the stage.
dude, we
that night.
rearranged that room and all that stuff.
Praise the
And
Lord.
it blessed me so much
Yep.
because I was like, dude, that is a guy that loves production and is great at. Well, you don't know the term,
Yeah.
stuff, but is so good at it. And you were there that week to not just do something that looked cool and sounded good. You were there to serve our students.
Yeah.
Preach it.
Oh, it was so
And that's the
good.
thing. And
Yeah.
if anybody's watching
It was
this,
awesome.
He got
That
that
has
invite
a-
back.
and if there's anybody
Better be
watching
good.
this,
Something right.
that is
Better be
one
good.
that is one of the qualities of this man.
Yeah,
He serves the church.
yeah, and it's beautiful.
And if
He's
it's
a pretty good
possible,
guy.
he can do it. But he's also serves the church to be like, I can figure something out, but I don't know if I can fix that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because that's the thing. He serves the body of
Yeah.
Christ.
Yes.
And
So Joey, how was your day? Now we bragged on you a
It
little
was great. It was great.
Better
It's
now.
great. No, but for real,
I forgot we were even answering a
I was like,
question.
this is
We,
good.
uh,
I don't know
Like, we
what's
answered a
His
question
day was
right
great.
now.
He had interesting.
we came up with the stage design last week.
What?
We got to meet about it. Talk about it.
And
We got to meet about it.
it was me and Eric
Yeah.
and Chase.
Oh, they're
So
having a
shout out to
blast,
them.
man. They're having a
And,
blast.
It's so fun, dude.
Chase is so excited, man.
I'm so glad
He's
he's
so
gone.
excited.
I'm so.
And
glad
when
he's
Chase
gone.
gets excited, it's contagious.
So I did
Chase,
not know that
I'm gonna
about
brag.
Chase.
I'm gonna
I did
brag.
not
He
know
is
that. I
fun
saw
when-
him
He
at,
he gets excited. I love it when he
dude,
gets
he
excited.
gets fired up. I did not know that
Hey,
about
you want to know
Chase.
something about Chase?
Huh.
He can tell you any preacher,
Yes.
Yeah.
any Baptist preacher, any type of preacher,
Yeah.
and he can actually tell you the church that they preach at, what year they preach the
love that.
That's
sermon
amazing.
there.
Oh, really?
And
He's
dude,
superhero,
he
man.
loves the church.
He's
That's
super.
awesome.
I
He's
can't
super
wait.
fun.
That's
I can't
fun.
wait for him to be at camp for so many reasons. Because Chase, shout out to Chase Loudon. He is one of the unsung heroes for us on Wednesday night because he makes it happen for us so
Yeah.
much. He really does. And so I'm excited for him just to see camp. But
Yeah.
selfishly, that dude amens me
He'll bring some
so
energy,
much.
bro.
And I was listening back to
He's
the
a hype
sermon from the
man.
other night, and I said, the gospel's good news, y'all. And he said, yeah, it is. I mean, just like yelling it. And I'm like, dude, I can't wait to preach that. real
Feed
camp.
off of that,
Oh,
bro.
Give it to
Man.
me.
Hype
off of
section
that.
right there.
I love camp,
Yes.
but
There's
I
a but.
cannot stay up to 3:00 in the
That's
morning.
right. Get me to bed.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'm
no.
not built for that.
I'm good.
I don't know how you did this weekend.
I just did it once. That's once a
That's how
year.
I did it. I did it once.
Once a
It's a
year.
good time. So how was y'all's day?
My day was good. It's been a good day. It's a good day.
It's been it's good.
It's been good.
I enjoyed the podcast.
Yeah,
It's been a good day.
when is it not a good
I
day if
enjoyed
you have
podcast.
Cisco?
Yeah.
I had salad for breakfast. It was delicious.
Salad for
Did you go to
breakfast.
Stacks?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Did.
Called that. Name that. Yeah.
Salad. I love it.
Okay. Let's see here. What do you do if the person you like lives in a different state?
Find somebody new, man. No, I'm playing. Golly. Somebody's got to say
That's so-
something.
Somebody's
so
got to
bad.
laugh a little bit.
Yes, we are.
Come on.
Well,
You
it's
know?
funny.
Come
It's
on.
funny. This question. It's
I'm
funny.
somebody local. No, I'm playing.
Well, I would just say if you're a high schooler,
Go local.
if you're a high schooler, I mean, we've had the dating conversation earlier and before. I would argue even if someone's local, I'm gonna just go on the limb as the high school pastor and say,
Come on.
you probably not in a position to look to date someone even now if they are in the hall next to you at school. And so I think I would just double
let me
down
throw
on
it.
that.
Go ahead. Good, cool.
I'm saying I think I would just double, and I don't want to diminish this because I know because here's what we have to understand too, and I know we're pastoring in a world that we didn't grow up in.
It's true.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Even for us,
Yeah.
and like online friends is a real thing. That's I mean, let's call it for what it is, and we can. That's not the question, but that's a real thing. So I don't want to diminish that this person is legitimately thinking like, nah, I think I like this person. Maybe you met him on a
Yeah,
game
dude,
or whatever.
slide into DMs is what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to.
You know what I'm saying? That's why
that's what they
I'm
say.
all for it.
Yeah.
I minister to a different group. You know what I'm saying? If you're a college student and it's say, I don't know, friggin' NGU, and you see somebody on Instagram that's a college student at Liberty, and you're not in the same state, dude, slide in those DMs, shoot your shot, see what happens.
There it is.
I mean,
Yeah, bro, it's
different
different.
season
It's
of
a
life,
different
season of
context.
life.
So I can say that.
I would
Yeah,
say
100%.
I would say for high
go for
schooler,
it.
I would say don't do that. Like I would be like legitimately hands
That's
on.
what
Don't
I
do
love.
that.
I love these ones are
But
so
yeah,
fun
if
to me.
you're a
'cause it's
senior in
such different
college,
advice.
then use wisdom about
Yep.
it. But
And in all of them, guard your heart.
Yeah, no matter what.
And
Exactly.
and be you.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
be some version of you think they want to see. Because here's the
Right.
thing: when you're
That's the problem
living
with this,
you're living a relationship with
Yeah.
somebody you can't
Yeah.
see, you're
Yep.
going to be tempted. I don't care who you are
Yep.
to portray yourself in
Yep.
a way you ain't.
Yeah, that's a
But
good word.
Don't do
once
that.
if it gets to the point where like you guys are living in the same state, your true colors will be seen,
That's true.
and so therefore you're right.
That's right.
Don't be something you're not
Don't do that.
online.
That's
Um,
But here's the thing. I'll ask a question to the watching world. That's a temptation.
Mhm.
You know that sometimes we like to portray ourselves in a way
oh yeah,
that we're not.
Sure.
yeah, 100%.
This
Thoughts?
is a tough one, man.
What do you think, bro?
This is just a tough one. I don't live in this
The world- that world is
This
different.
generation
Yeah.
now is
Yeah.
just
Oh,
Yeah.
that's normal.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. That's what I got to
And-
remind myself is I'm and the person who asked this knows I love him. I'm tempted to read that and I must be really honest, almost laugh. I mean, just legitimately. I just because I didn't grow up like that. Like I had friends that I knew face to face, but I know there's a lot of students for us that like legitimately they meet someone through however, and I
Yeah.
think that's a whole different conversation. But I know that's a really legitimate question.
Well, I've had a
And
couple-
but it's
it
just different because I didn't
you
grow
know,
up that
Gro-
way.
It just
growing
takes
up in
so
a-
much trust because I mean, you can talk to somebody on
Yeah.
another side of a phone or other side of a computer, but
Yeah.
okay, do you know what that person is doing at 3:00 on a Thursday afternoon?
Yeah.
Do they know what you're doing at 3:00 on a
Yeah.
Thursday afternoon?
Yeah.
Would they be okay with it?
It's
Yeah.
true. It's very true.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it just takes a lot of trust, and
Yeah.
I agree with you. You got to guard yourself.
Yeah, in what state? Is it a neighboring state? Because when I was growing up in Waxhaw, I had a fling or two with some Lancaster women.
See, that's the
BC.
thing.
That's
BC
BC days for
Come on,
sure.
guys.
So that's different states.
Just a
I
quick
live-
You
hop
know what
over
I
the
mean?
border,
That's
man. You know what I'm saying?
but it's a
Just saying.
different state. So what state are we talking about?
I literally grew up 3 miles from the line. So
Yeah,
South
you see
Carolina,
what- you
North
see what
Carolina.
I'm
I mean,
saying?
you just drove across the border to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would
Convenience
say. And depending on the state, the answer and the solution might be, hey, just drive over.
Drive over.
You know what I'm saying?
Stalk them for
Yeah.
Jesus.
If it's like friggin' Missouri,
That's right.
it's not going to be that simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Slightly
It's not
different.
simple. It would take a lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
Yeah, I would just say be patient. I would say be patient and wait. And
Yes.
I would say as a high schooler, 1,000%, it's not something to pursue right
Yes.
now.
Okay, I'm
That's what I
gonna
would
I'm
say.
gonna I'm
Let
gonna
it-
make
let
it.
it come
I'm
out.
gonna
I would
bring
agree with
I'm
that.
gonna bring a command
Yeah,
in it. I'm
certainly
gonna
for
bring
high
a command in
schoolers,
it.
for sure.
Does your parents know this relationship exists?
Yeah, that's a good word too. Good word.
If they don't, why don't they?
Yeah.
Because it's this person's already important to you.
Yeah, they know you got this
Yeah.
crush or this.
Do they know you have a relationship?
or- yeah.
Now, if they
Which is-
don't,
yeah.
then this is probably a good spot.
Which is
I'm
why
glad you asked the
I need-
question.
I need to be reminded that we have a lot of parents that listen to this now, which is crazy. And I'm just going to say, as a youth pastor, you don't need my permission, but I'm going to give it to you. Like, it is A-okay. And I would encourage, know who your kids are talking to online.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
No, and I think there is a weird, like, I think some parents feel like, oh, is that breaking of trust? Is that all that stuff? And I mean, we can have that conversation on an individual level. But man, it is okay to know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I would encourage parents, like, if your kids are involved in playing games, then you need to know if they're playing
Yes.
that game on an online platform that gives them the ability to connect with someone else.
Right.
Because maybe you're listening to this and you're like, oh, my kid's just playing a game, and it's
No.
like,
No, they're not.
There's a good chance they're
No, they're
meeting
not.
people
No,
from
they're
all
not.
around the
And here's the
world.
deal. Here's the deal. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Because I've never played them, but I've watched it and seen it. But they are literally having relationships with everybody
Yes.
Yeah.
on that gaming site
Wow.
and finding out, and they're being taught and screamed at and cussed at
Yeah.
and treated like dirt, and
Yeah.
they're being encouraged. And then guys, I'm sorry, if your student is online gaming with people that you need
It's
to
not
realize
just one
your
thing. Yeah.
student people have access to your student.
Yeah.
They do, man. They do.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. And if your student plays games for hours, they literally have that person in their ear
For hours.
hours And here's the thing, with an emotional attachment in the relationship, because gaming is emotional.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, guys, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I would say to students, I get it's fun, but you need to know the people that you're playing games with
Yeah.
are teaching you something about the world.
Yes.
And on the flip side of that, I mean, also if your parents know that you're in this relationship, okay, cool, but can you lay your phone down and open it and say, hey, you can read our conversations?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Yeah. That's good.
Amen. Come on.
I got 3 more serious ones. We kind of want to go kind of quick, and then we can do a fun
Yeah.
run. A fun run.
Well,
Are you
fellas,
done?
What's that?
Fellas, I
Are you
have
done with
5
questions?
minutes left.
Yep.
He's got
Oh, so-
5
okay.
minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah, let's make it quick. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Make a fun
Um,
one, and then I'm going to hop out. It's been a pleasure.
I'll make it a fun one.
guys.
Okay. Oh, what, you want to do a free one or a different one? Because you're not a golf guy, are you?
I'm not a golf guy.
Let's do one of this.
Let's do it.
Serious golf one?
How about this one? Let's learn something new about Joey.
Okay.
What was your favorite game to play as a kid?
I love this.
Ooh.
Okay, I think I've told this story before.
Yay.
2 stories. One, I grew up on Nintendo 64.
Love that.
Yeah.
Y'all did the favorite gift as a
Yeah.
Christmas
We did do that.
episode. So here's the funny story about my favorite game.
Uh-huh.
My favorite game growing up was Star Fox 64.
Okay.
I don't know
Yes.
if y'all remember that.
I do.
I remember the logo. I can see it.
So my parents were the type of parents that wrapped gifts growing up.
Oh, keep going. I know it.
So growing up, Nintendo games look
Mhm.
like Nintendo games. It doesn't matter if you wrapped it in wrapping paper or whatever.
Very unique shape.
Very
right?
unique
The
shape.
box.
So I begged for
It's amazing.
what?
He just pulled up the logo of the game. That's the game.
That's
There
it.
it is. Yeah,
That's
so the
it.
people know. So the
That's
young
it.
folks know.
So
That's awesome.
Love that.
so growing up, I wanted Star Fox 64 for Christmas.
Yeah.
Just wanted it, begged for it. And my family wasn't the type of family that put all the gifts out on Christmas. They put it out. My mom put them out all through December. Well, one day a unique shaped box appeared under my tree. So I already had a Nintendo, and my mom went to work every day. So every day I literally pulled that box out, unwrapped the end of it, slid the
Joey!
game out.
That's what I'm talking about.
For an entire month.
Slid the game out. By the time I got it at Christmas, I'd already beat it.
You know, there's an illustration there.
awesome.
No,
'Cause there's
my-
a youth pastor
I love that.
illustration.
My-
Guys, don't follow my footsteps.
That's
no,
so good.
My favorite part is, remember, because we talked about this the other day in
We
Hilton's
did.
office. When did you tell your mother this? Or have you
Oh,
told your mother this?
I was well into my 20s when I
Before
did
you
that.
ever told her?
That's
I
so
never
wild.
told her.
By the
But
way,
I-
Mom,
Mom,
I've
you
been
remember
la-
that
Mom,
one
I've
year
been
you got
laboring.
this game for me?
Mom, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry.
I love it.
So
awesome.
literally, I mean,
that.
but I was still excited the day that I opened it, like I
Even
never
though I
played
already
before.
beat
That's
it.
amazing.
What?
It was great. So
So
yeah,
So
that-
great.
I love video games growing
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I love Nintendo games.
I
That's
love it.
awesome.
I love it.
Still
Dude,
do.
thanks for being on today, man.
Joey, thank
Guys,
you, man.
I've
Love you,
enjoyed it.
Joey.
I've enjoyed
Thank you,
it.
sir.
I've enjoyed it.
If you see Joey out and about, hug his neck.
Say,
Yes. Now
say
you have
hello.
a face.
Tell him thank you.
Face
Say
for the
hello.
guy who's
I wanna
behind
hear
the
y'all's,
scenes.
and then I'll go.
My favorite game was, I mean, that sounds dumb, just shooting basketball outside.
Yeah.
I don't know if that
Mm.
counts. Like I hit so many game winners in my head.
Oh God, dude.
Hit
Yeah.
so many
Did you ever
buzzer
do like so growing up in this area?
beaters. And one.
It was
Or
when
21.
but growing up in this area, it was like if you're by yourself playing.
Yeah.
Growing up in this area, you did ACC tournament. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I would not pretend to be like. I pretend to be Michael Jordan, but it wasn't like NBA players. It was like ACC guys. That's who I would pretend to be when I was a kid.
I think
'cause it was
I
like,
think
So-
when I try to think back, I envision myself in the Hornets a lot, and we're actually good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
And-
random question. I did this in high school because we played basketball every day.
Mm,
Yeah.
Did you wear gym shorts under your pants?
no, I never did. I knew guys who did, but I never
Why-
did.
I-
that.
I-
I
so
never
you can
know
be
when
ready.
a game was going
That's
to break
true.
out.
Just pop
So
the
I
jeans off there.
began to do that, but it was for different reasons other than to play basketball after school. And I'll let the folks who have the matches with minds understand why I would have an extra pair of pockets underneath my. This is BC days. Again.
BC. That's
BC
right.
days.
That's right.
Love it.
I love it.
Anyways, favorite game?
Favorite game? Dude, just shooting. Shooting basketball is great. I think we answered this before because I said sneak. We just hide and go seek in the dark.
Yeah, that's
Teams.
We called that underground church. Did y'all ever do that?
Oh, that's cool.
We called
Mm.
that.
Make it spiritual.
That's what the Christians called it.
That's what we call it.
That's what the Christians called it.
Oh, you had like the persecutors and then the oh no, you did not. That is amazing, dude.
That's awesome.
So you had like the whatever governing authorities coming after the
Yes.
believers.
Okay, so
Oh, we
I-
were
I
straight
don't-
up. It was
Oh,
the
that's
Nazis.
so good.
The
know
Nazis
how
were
bad
coming
this
after the
was.
Christians. Bro.
That's so funny.
We weren't afraid to call them out.
I really don't know how bad this was, but literally, like you had a Bible that they hid at the church,
That's so
and your goal was to find the Bible in the dark and bring it back to the pulpit.
That's so good.
That's beautiful.
That's such
What a
beautiful.
game, dude.
I love this.
we
They
had
sang
a
Father Abraham
blast.
after that.
That's
They had
so
goldfish
good.
snacks.
Kumbaya.
What?
We had goldfish.
You darn right you did.
love it. Favorite
Thank
game.
you for
Favorite
sharing
game.
that.
Favorite game growing up was front yard football because
Love
I was faster than my brother, so I always won.
Amen.
Love that.
Amen.
I love
Well,
that.
guys,
Sam, what was your
it's been a
favorite game
pleasure.
Love you,
growing up?
Doug.
Stop.
You the man, Joey.
Bye,
Love you,
Joey.
You
Joey.
the man.
Hey, you want your Sipco?
Yes, I do, man.
Don't forget your Sipco.
Don't forget your Sipco.
Not forget your precious Sipco.
See you, buddy.
I love it. I love it.
That was awesome.
That was glorious. I really.
Are we-
are we
I
doing-
wanted. I wanted
Are we
to
doing
be,
serious ones?
I have like 3 serious.
Let me
ones.
run to the restroom.
We're gonna go and keep going. But just
Yeah,
keep going.
keep going.
I wanted it to be a surprise because I wanted to just be like, hey, it's coming into hot to rebuttal Brad's take on production and
That's
worship. That's what I wanted to do.
That was good.
I love that guy, man. You know, what I also love. I love that they're like planning stuff about camp that I don't even know.
I love that.
Dude, have to go for it.
Go
love
for it.
It's amazing. I love that. Okay, let's. I guess we can kind of do this somewhat quick. If God cannot be in the presence of sin, why can Satan go into his presence in Job?
Another one. Who said God can't be in the presence of sin? Is there a verse? Is that teaching in scripture?
I think it's.
I mean, I'm asking that question because I don't have a preconceived answer. I just who said that God can't be in the presence of sin?
Yeah. I think the verse. Yeah. This I know. I would need to study this for a little bit. There's a verse in Habakkuk. Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You
Okay.
cannot tolerate
Okay.
wrong. And so I think that's the one.
could
But
see
I
that.
think I mean, this what I would say is Habakkuk 1:13. Your eyes are pure to look on evil, and you cannot tolerate the wrongdoing. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you
Treacherous.
silent? So I think that's the interesting about that is Habakkuk is saying, you can't tolerate this. Then God, why are you doing
Why
it?
are you tolerating it?
Like I think it's like God, why are you so holy? But you obviously see this is happening,
Yeah.
right? So why?
Why are you so holy, but you deal with this? You put up with this.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: there is no place that God's not.
Yes. Correct. So,
So-
yeah, I think we need to just work on that definition.
Yeah, or
of-
that phrase, because we like to say that
Yeah.
God can't be in the presence of
Yeah.
sinfulness. Well,
And I
Think
think
about what you're
and it's-
saying.
maybe this
I
is,
get- I
really,
get your point.
maybe I hope I'm not like getting into like heretical waters here. But God is holy, which means God is
We'll
separate.
delete it.
Yeah, God is holy,
No.
which means this was camp off last year. God is holy, which means He's separate.
He is separate.
He's a different cut. That's my favorite definition. He's a different
Ooh.
cut.
Ooh,
He
he's cut above.
well, it's cool. Kadosh it literally means to cut.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's right, I
actually, at
remember
the
this.
root
Yep.
of Hebrew, like a great picture. Paul Washer said this, and I think this is the best picture of the holiness of God. When you have something on a cutting board and you cut it and you separate it out, that's such a dumbed down illustration. But that's the whole. God
That's the
is
whole.
of a different cut. He's different. He's separate.
Okay.
So just God is separate
Shuck
from
it,
sin.
brother.
So I think when Satan was in the presence of God in Job, didn't mean God is still separate from him.
Yeah,
God
what-
is still God's holiness is not diminished. You know what I'm
Because
saying?
hang on one second, because the other part is sin,
Yeah.
sinfulness. Is sin a thing? Is sin a thing, or is sin the absence of a thing?
Yeah.
Then I don't know if this is philosophical because I'm not a philosopher, but so you see what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
the entity of the angel Satan
Yeah.
is what he is.
Mhm.
Sin is something else.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's good.
So God is in the presence of Satan. There's a conversation. Satan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the part where it's like we have to ask those questions. He was in the presence of Satan.
Yeah.
So Satan's an angel
And it's
that,
not
that God created.
Yeah, and it's not as if I mean, obviously, it's not as if God is letting Satan just. I mean, Satan's given an account. Like Satan is very much less than God in that picture.
Yeah.
And
Satan
we know
understands
Satan, and
his
we know
role.
Satan has been dealt with and will be dealt with.
Yes. Yes.
And so, yeah, I think if I would be curious if they can ask a follow up question, which we never really do. But is your verse is Habakkuk 1:13 the basis for you
That's a good
saying that is true? And I think let's look at the literary context there. And I think Habakkuk is confused because like God, you can't look at sin, but it seems like you are.
Right.
You
In
know
other
what I'm
words,
saying?
yes.
Like he's processing
Which is
that
probably
out.
the same, really and truly, than what you're saying is this questioner is a lot like Habakkuk.
Yeah.
You're
Which is
asking the
kinda
same
cool.
question.
Which is kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
I love that. How do we deal with bad habits?
How do we deal with bad
How do you
habits?
deal with bad habits? This makes me laugh. I'm in a Shark Tank kick right now, the show. And there was a guy that went on there. He had a bad habit breaker. It was like you like zapped yourself.
Woo!
Yeah, it was really dumb.
That is brutal.
I don't want to do this anymore. Thump.
That's old ancient Catholicism right there.
That's right.
Um,
Hey, but
I-
if
I
it
wanna go-
works,
I want to go one by saying it's like So how do you deal with bad habits? This is fun.
my computer's gonna die. I gotta get my charger. Go to
Or just take a
that question next. Number 3 next.
okay. So you want me to hurry up and wrap this one up? Now I'm looking at that question. I would hesitate with the habits thing. I wouldn't call them habits. I'd probably just hesitate to call it that. And my line of thinking for that is because I just remember John Piper in this video talking about pornography, and he says you are not addicted.
Right.
Because as long as you tell yourself you're addicted, you will always succumb to the temptation. You'll say, "Well, I'm just addicted. I'm
Right.
addicted."
Right.
These are bad habits. These are bad habits. They're choices. They're
Yeah,
bad
they're
choices.
choices.
So
That's
how do you
right.
deal with bad choices? Yes, bad choices lead into habits. How do you deal with them? You wake up, you deny yourself daily, you take up your cross, you follow Jesus, you crucify your flesh. That is an old school answer, but that is a biblical answer.
it's a biblical answer that, from experience,
Yes.
you find that the discipline of that over time bears fruit.
Right.
But when you're starting it, it feels like, so you mean every day of my life for the rest of my life is going to be miserable?
Oh, it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, but here's the thing. But on the other side of it, as you obey and live in it,
Yep.
it becomes a freeing thing. It's like, man,
Right.
I totally get it.
Right. It is. It's the.
So you trust that. You that's how you start. You start
Yes.
because
Yeah.
some people don't start because it's going to be so hard. It's like no, but start.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Start.
And realize you might
Number one.
get up and fall back down.
Yes.
Dude, it's okay. There's
It's
grace.
okay. That's the beauty.
Grace
That's the beauty of
abounds.
confession and repentance.
Right.
And here's the other part. You realize that if you're in Christ, you're already forgiven for any sinful bad habit.
Right.
Now just walk in that. Remember that.
Right.
When the enemy condemns you, remember you're free from it. So
Yeah.
So you just
I'm assuming y'all answered that great.
we did.
I think we did. I think we
For
killed
the
it.
audio listener, I second all.
How do you break bad habits? You start,
Yeah, you start. You got to start
and
somewhere.
then tomorrow do the same thing.
Yeah. I think we overcomplicate stuff all the time, man. And I'm not diminishing the question. I told someone the other day, a student made a public profession the other night and repented, turned to the Lord. It was awesome. And they asked me a question like, how do I start? And like, how do I start following Jesus? Like, what do I do? And I pointed to us out of the room and I said, how would you get from here to there?
Yeah.
And they said, I'd start walking.
Boom.
And I was like, you take one step at a time.
Good
Ain't
work.
no magic way to get from here. You just put one step in front of the other.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you start.
That's good.
I second everything y'all said.
Amen.
Quickly, let's do it quickly. What do you do when you feel abandoned by people you thought were your friends?
Mourn. Don't forget to mourn. And what I say by mourn is let yourself feel bad about it.
Honestly, I would say go back and listen to everything you read through James 4. Like
Mhm.
I think so much that applies.
Remind yourself.
Um,
Mourn and guard. Guard your heart because you'll be tempted to. It's crazy how sometimes we're tempted to do stupid stuff.
yeah, I think too.
Will
In the moment, I'll get. Brad got a little preachery earlier.
Come on.
It was good though.
I mean,
Come
everyone. Y'all both got preachery today, and I feel like I've not done it yet. So I'm
It's
stepping
your
into
time.
my.
Here we
It's
go.
your time.
I think we are so. It's funny. Like I know we have a question about this in a second, but it's funny. The Masters just ended yesterday, and everyone's so prisoner of the moment, right? Oh, Scotty's gonna win 10 majors, all this stuff. You know,
Yeah.
we have a way of being prisoner of the moment, and so I would just encourage the person. Okay, it really sucks right now. It's really hard.
Yeah.
But there's if you thought they were your friends, and they abandon you for whatever reason, I'm gonna say there's a solid chance. We're gonna let them say there's a solid chance. 5 or 7 years down the road, you're gonna look back and think, "Gosh, that really hurt." But Lord, you were saving me from so much,
Right.
and you have no idea what the Lord is protecting you from. Now, I do think to go back to what we were saying about being the bully thing. It's like okay, man, like, well, let's be a little introspective here. If is that the right word? And say like, were you a bad friend?
That's a very
I mean,
good
let's just
question.
call
Did
it
you
like,
do something
like if there's a if there's
This
a
is
if there's
why
a pattern you
This
have.
is why people stop giving us questions.
It
They're
is,
like,
it is,
Right.
but let's.
Because we're
But I think
asking
there's something to that. Let's ask
Yeah.
that,
I
and this is a
agree,
great
though.
way for us to ask it because it's easy to ask it when you're not sitting in front of us.
Right.
But it's because I don't remember who asked this
People
question.
just didn't. People didn't want to hang out with you as much.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's like, man, like, okay, like, because I've had it before where someone's like, man, people just keep not wanting to do this, and I'm like, well,
Let's
Might
look.
be.
it. I
Might be
mean,
you.
maybe this, you know what I'm saying?
And
And,
it's
so,
okay.
and that's okay. It's like, let's learn from that. Let's grow from that.
And here's
Yeah.
the thing. I've had to do that.
Yeah.
I've had somebody say, Steve, this is why. Oh, I better change something
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
don't want to continue this.
Right.
Right.
But I will say this. This is a. Yeah, I was about to make a joke that wasn't funny. I won't do that. But I think as the Lord develops you,
Yeah.
and that's a truth in Romans 8, right?
It's
He
a
goes, you're called,
development.
He's sanctified, He's all that stuff. There's
Yeah.
a progression in following Jesus. Dude, there's going. I'll go out and say this. There's going to be some people that quote unquote you have to leave behind.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at my friend group drastically changed from my senior year of high school to my sophomore year of college.
Right.
And it wasn't just because of proximity. It was because I had friends that I loved dearly who they got to college and they stopped following the Lord.
That's
And,
right.
I'll never forget, man, talk about crying and getting emotional. I'll never forget one night I just cried in my car because I was home for a weekend or something. A lot of friends were home. And I went over to a house where a lot of my friends were that I'd grown up with a lot, and just there was some stuff there that they were trying to hide from me because they knew I wouldn't like it and want to be a part of it. But I was very aware of what was happening. I was very aware of what was being hidden, all this stuff. Long story, I can go into detail later off the record. And I remember I got back in the car and I just cried because I knew like my friends were going down a way that I couldn't go down,
Yeah.
Right.
and it was really heartbreaking for me. And I'm not saying they abandoned me, but yeah, kind of in a way you could say
Yeah.
they kind of did, you know. And so I think
Right.
just recognizing like the Lord's gonna. I think as we grow and as we mature, there's gonna be some friends that are gonna be
Yeah.
left behind in that. You
And
know,
sometimes friends abandon you, and sometimes your friends just change,
Right.
and it feels like abandonment because
Right.
we don't know how
Right.
sometimes to deal with the fact of a normal thing.
Yes.
Your friends change.
Yeah. One thing I want to say, because this is me, I'm a big word guy. What do you do when you feel abandoned by people you thought were your friends? That's entirely different than what do you do when you were abandoned by people you thought
Okay.
were your friends. Because here's the reality: you might be the listener who's not even the one that asked this question, and you might have asked this question with this intent behind it. But what I'm saying to you is, the enemy wants you to be isolated.
Yeah.
And one of the ways he can do that is take a guy who has 4 really good friends or a gal who has 4 really good friends. Y'all get together, do everything. And then all of a sudden, like, you guys just don't hang out that much every week anymore. And then you feel like they've abandoned you. You see them, maybe they go out and do something. You feel like they've abandoned you. I would make sure that they have in fact abandoned you. Because if not,
Oh,
what you're
come
going to
on.
do is you're going to react in some type of way that's going to make them no longer want to be
That's a good
around
point.
you. And the enemy's he's got you in his grip
That's a
either
good
way
point.
because he wants to isolate you. So I would just say, make sure that they actually have.
So in other words,
Because it can
question,
feel like they have.
question your feels, man.
Yeah, because we've all been
Question
there where
your
it's like,
feels.
yo, like, man, this person don't like me no more. They ain't texted me in like 3 days. It's like, bruh, I don't think that's it.
I think I heard it. I can't quote the guy because I can't remember who it was. I think it. And I hope I'm not messing this up, but I think it's good. Feelings are a great indicator. They're not a good guide.
Mm.
And so feelings are God given. Like we have
Right.
emotions. So feelings can alert you to something.
Yeah, maybe they
but
are
if-
abandoning.
Maybe they are.
Yeah.
But if we're being guided by that,
And this
Yeah,
person
so-
I would probably ask this person thing.
Yeah.
Has your feelings ever led you astray?
Yeah.
It's very likely it's happening
Yeah.
here.
Has there ever
Two
been a
if it's
moment where this hasn't been true?
All right, rapid fire, friend. And ready?
All right,
Ready?
yeah, because I got to.
This one's for me. Have you always worn glasses? That was to me because I posted on a story a picture of me in glasses.
Because
or
you
whatever.
blind.
I have. I
blind.
was in 4th grade. I started wearing glasses. I'll never forget. I think I told the story. I'll never forget when I was always a pretty good baseball player leading up to that, decent ball player. And I'll never forget the first day I took batting practice, and I could actually
You see the
see.
seams.
balls.
And I would never forget. I got in the batter's box, and the first pitch came, and it literally startled me. I didn't swing at it, and I was like, "That's what it's supposed to look like." like legitimately, I had like a, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Then I hit like 750 that year, and
What?
I'm just kidding.
Stop,
I'm just
stop,
kidding.
stop.
That was a joke. I'm
Let's
just kidding.
go.
So that was for me. I've always worn glasses since 4th grade, and then I got contacts in middle school.
Brett, how about
Game
you?
changer.
It was the 8th grade that I
gotcha.
started wearing contacts. I wore glasses at 8th grade, and then in like freshman year, I started wearing contacts, and then wore
Gotcha.
contacts. And now I just can't wear.
I started wearing readers about 6 years ago,
Nice.
and this year was the first year I had official glasses.
Look at you.
So
I love it. Favorite Mexican food?
Favorite Mexican fajitas.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I love
Without the rice and stuff, I just like beans.
Yeah,
and
I
the
love
peppers.
I love the
and
crazy
onions.
burrito at La Unica.
yeah, baby.
That's what I love.
Chips and salsa.
Yeah, and then someone said get Brad Davis as a special guest. I think
Oh
that's
my-
after you on Thursday.
that
I would
would
love
be
it if Brad sat down.
Brad.
I love
Brad.
Brad.
I would love that.
I love
in
Brad
fact,
Davis.
I'm picturing him sitting there right.
Might see if he can pop in for.
That'd be so
maybe not
good.
2.5
man. I know he's a
hours,
busy guy.
You
That'd
have
be
to
great.
raise
Yeah.
the height of the camera a little bit.
Well, yeah,
We take care of
Dude
that.
is a large
Bro.
male.
Yeah.
He is a large male.
He is a large guy. He Brad came to camp with us last year, and I loved it.
He's
I loved it.
great.
I love Brad. And then the last question. This is going to end on. Other than Augusta, what golf course? I love that they said this. What course would you want to play golf at? It's like it's obviously Augusta.
Yeah,
Like
of
it's
course.
obviously Augusta.
Yeah,
actually.
right.
I'd play it.
Maybe
I
for
wish I
you,
could.
it's not. Is that for you? I guess.
Dude, Augusta is one of those. We've talked about it before, and people think I'm kidding when I say this. Augusta is one of those places. If I go out there, for me anywhere, it'd be the nice course on the planet. It could be Augusta National. If I shoot like 85, I'm gonna talk crap about the.
I
golf
think
course.
Augusta would be an exception to that rule.
No, well, there was one hole. I think it was number 7. I was like, it's the stupidest thing that it's covered.
Seven's kind of a dumb.
Well, it was
one.
stupid
Seven's kind
because
of a
it's covered by bunkers in the front. You can't even run the ball up. So how do the members enjoy that? These old men out there, they can't. They got it's a forced carry. I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know. I would play Augusta, obviously, if somebody asked me. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely go if somebody asked me. But
Right.
like,
dumb. Yeah.
that's
So where else
not-
other than Augusta? Where else would you play?
Can we name several?
I mean, it said what course?
So it's just
What are
one,
we meeting here for?
like
Yeah.
one bucket list. Who's that?
Macy, Madison, or John?
I don't know.
Someone.
I hope
We're
it's not
we're
John.
recording.
Glad it's not.
Oh,
John.
Finishing up.
Is it John? Is it John? I keep
No,
saying
it's
I'm
Macy.
glad it's not John.
It's Macy, man.
John, I'm kidding. John doesn't even listen to this.
Yeah, like we're on.
Hey,
recording.
Macy.
Hey, Macy.
Hey,
Hey,
Madison.
Clearly, they don't listen to the podcast because she just apologized.
Because we don't care.
We don't care.
I hear your voice in the background.
I'm just kidding. Where was you
Thank
go?
Dude, I don't know. You have to come back to me.
I'm,
Y'all
I'm
keep
gonna
going.
say St.
To
Andrews.
go St. Andrews? Oh man, I was thinking of one of those.
I just think,
I would love to go out there and just play
I mean,
golf.
I like touristy.
Of course, everything looks like a green.
Well,
it all looks
touristy part of me.
Are we talking like?
Pebble
Are we
Beach.
talking like one that you
I don't know.
are
That's
not
it's just
getting
a course.
on at?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think. Well, no. I think,
Dude,
like,
I'll tell you
just
what.
dream. Just
Dude,
dream. Where'd you play?
what was that course? What was the course we played here, local?
Oh, Charlotte Country Club.
Charlotte Country Club. I want to go back.
Yeah, that was.
Because I'm serious. The whole round,
Yeah,
I was just, I
It's
couldn't
so
think
sweet.
about golf because I was like,
yeah, it was sweet.
this is the nicest
Charlotte's nice, bro.
Yeah.
place. I would like to go now play it.
Yeah, I'd say St. Andrews just because my love for golf has grown immensely the last couple of years. Like just to play at the home of golf would be sweet.
Yeah.
But other trips, I'd love to go to Bannon. I would love
So
it.
these are places you can get because my mind goes to like ultra exclusive private clubs
Sure, and that's
that
fine,
I'll
yeah.
never get a chance to get on.
Yeah,
There was a
Uh,
place in Beaufort, South Carolina.
Buford.
Yes, and it was one of those courses where it was so exclusive. I mean, I never played it, of course, but I drove by, and it was the kind of place where you had to have a caddy,
Yeah.
and the caddies were
Oh,
decked in white
Yeah.
constantly, and literally the course was so green it was distractingly just
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
And I was like, I can't remember what it's called. Somebody who knows what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
and it's I don't know. It's
Is it Sage Valley down there? Yeah.
gosh,
I think you might be talking about Secession.
that's it. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think it's Secession golf.
And
They played there at Tour Sauce on No Line Up.
Oh man,
It's got a, yeah.
They
yeah.
call it
It's-
like they call it concussion because it's
It's so hard.
Secession. It's
Yeah,
Secession golf,
yes.
yeah.
And bro, the all I remember is you run into the caddies because they came to a place called Alvin Ord
But you
Sandwich Shop.
can't. I don't think you can't ride there.
No,
There's like two
no.
carts on property.
Yes,
That's sick.
Yeah.
and they're just
So where's your answer? Where?
I mean, like one of the like founding 5 of the USGA.
Okay.
So like national golf links, or like Chicago, like
Yeah,
some of
I've
like
heard Chicago- I've heard
northeast
Chicago's
places,
sick.
like or well Midwest for Chicago. But like I like to go to, I mean like where they had the PGA Championship last year, Oak Hill.
Okay.
I like to go to Oak Hill. I like to go to like those, because those are the ones that you know like Philadelphia Cricket Club. I love to go there.
Mhm.
I'll never go. Like these are places that like I know I'll never go. Like
Yeah.
like Pinehurst, all these places. Obviously,
Yeah.
you're gonna eventually go to.
Yeah, you can get there.
But those places, yeah, I'm never gonna go there.
I have
All
to
right.
answer the phone. So do you want to turn it off?
Hey, love you guys.
I love
We're
you.
done.
Great for
We
listening.
love you. See you guys.
What an abrupt ending.
Thank you, Sam.